I'm gonna have that song in my head.
Kane, what about this format?
It's saving to the cloud.
No, format, MP3.
Most likely MP3. I'll get it converted to an MP3.
Okay.
Okay. And also, I'm gonna send the otter in as well.
Keep past everything. Keep, it's all the way down. And then Cynthia. And what? Yeah. No, there's another set coming.
It's in a different order.
There's only two pieces.
Okay, now we're going here. Oh, okay. One here for Kane. Kane has one.
Kane has one?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I love your hair. Lori, do you want one of these? What is it? For funding training. Yeah, you know.
No necessarily.
Do you want a copy of this? Do you want a copy of what my presentation?
Yes.
This is what I'm going to be doing here in the funding stuff, so.
Oh, great. All right. Let me bring up this announcement. We are not having the meeting yet. But the announcement is, we're gonna give a couple more minutes for the one person we don't know what status is as far as faith hearing. So we'll give it a couple more minutes. And if not, then we'll start.
The certain individual on the phone yesterday, the judge is gonna be here.
Yeah. But
What do you think?
I got it.
And she said she wasn't to you.
You know the difference.
Right, I know that never happens, I do. Oh. Okay. I copy.
Lori, who you?
I was waiting until the board had all their.
Oh, wait,
Oh, yes.
For the new. You never got one, so. Your name should go on there, because you're a new board member, just like the son and the student.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, you did, okay. I wasn't sure. Yeah. Did you ever get one? Okay.
Well, I did not bring it, but I dusted it.
Okay, you guys gotta make sure that people have them.
Dustin, just so you know again,
Yeah, I heard that right.
the first page, the first page is for business cards, one or two, up to the third page. Then you got the lanyard, then you got the book. Here, read each one. First 2-3 pages is business card, so.
I wasn't sure.
I make sure I have. I've had, it doing. Now.
Right.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I try to use them all the.
I've got a few of them, and I just changed it on this.
Okay, I'm gonna wait one more minute for our.
No, what it's gonna say. Board member and.
Yeah, they already got the good ball.
No, whatever.
One second.
No, no, I mean, it's different.
Oh, I can start, but there are parts where it's your problem. I mean, that's- I can sort of give you that. Yeah, because I had it, I don't know if you noticed, I had Alonzo. Oh, I know. For a specific. Well.
Again, that's why.
No, it's not what I.
Cause I have other.
What did I? Oh, great. Yeah, you wait.
Get a sandwich. You okay?
Exactly, and I just he says, well, so now he called me. You give 29.
All right, you all. Good night. Get everyone. Everybody. Enough conversation. We're gonna get started in that. Soon as we can hear ourselves. Ready. So, what I'd like to do is a couple of things. We're gonna start the meeting. And I'm gonna take a volunteer, as we do with all our meetings, flag salute. Who would like to do that first? All right, Cynthia, thank you. Yeah, we're starting. We are starting.
Can we stand for the pledge of allegiance?
Meeting started at 1:10 p.m.
Hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Play ball. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and take roll call.
Christina Barbera,
Here.
John Barbera,
Here.
Christina Calandra,
Here.
Vic Christensen here, Adrian Fernandez, Cynthia Gagne,
Here.
Gwen Henry is excused, Alonzo Jenkins here. April Jones is excused, Melanie LeBrecq.
Here.
Kelly Nor.
Here.
Hey Nicholas. Here. Thomas Norman's excused, Ray Regalado.
Here.
Angela Sumner.
Here.
Chris Faye. Here. You have 13. All right.
Hey, let me start off by saying thank you for being here on Saturday. I know you have much better things to do on a Saturday than what we normally do, but, thank you. Appreciate you all here. So what I want to do is, let you know that I did extend an invitation for Tim to be here today. May drop by, so he was at another meeting that we were at earlier. So he may drop by, and when we do, if he does drop by, we'll give him an opportunity to say a few words. So
He
we'll,
said he would have.
I'm sorry?
Remember, he said that he would.
Yeah. So we'll see what, how
Love you.
everything goes. So, and then the other thing too, we have an agenda, that we're gonna stick with our agenda. I would like to make sure that we get through it in the shortest possible time. We don't have to make this an all-day thing. Everyone has a lot of stuff to do. So if we just keep ourselves to task, we can get out of here reasonably quick. And, so with that, we're gonna go ahead and start off, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce my good friend, the man who, would like to think he taught me everything that I know.
That's what he said.
It's just that I haven't taught him everything I know.
It's not-
But we have known each other, Gary, what, about 25 years?
Yeah, pretty close.
How'd you meet?
He asked me out on a date, actually, yeah. No, actually, we were doing the same job except for different governmental agencies. He was with the city, I was with the county, and we were both doing human relations work, which in a sense is the city and county's version of human rights work.
Adrian says, was that before the one here?
Oh, my goodness. I read the car real quick.
So anyway.
Bad karma has a way of coming around real quick.
Next. So with that, Gary really knows the art of community. He really knows the art of conversation and dialogue and, being, civically engaged. So I really appreciate what he brings to the table. I hope, and I'm sure he will share some good, words of wisdom when it comes to engagement and so on as we go along. So anyway, I'll let Gary take it away and maybe he can say a few words about himself.
Well, good afternoon, neighborhood council.
Good afternoon.
It's good to be back down here. My early relatives actually from Wilmington. And, some of them moved up to San Fernando in 1890. So, we've had some roots down here for a while. So I always like to come back down and see this side of the indigenous family. So yeah, I'm Gary De La Rosa. I was with the city human relations, and I have been actively involved with neighborhood council stuff since they first began to talk about it in 99, 2000. It's the early meetings, the so-called guru from Minneapolis, any of you remember that or not? And that first year of 2002, where they had, it was 18 meetings around the city. I was nerdy enough to be at 13 of them. From that point on, I've worked with literally about 50-something different developing neighborhood councils. So I have a little bit of foot in the game, so I like to come down and help out. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's I still have great hopes for the whole system overall. So I always like to give those little credentials. I also used to teach at LUSD, and at one time I taught history, world history, US history, and government. That class that most of you checked out of in October of your senior year. Remember that class, right? Yeah, okay. And we expect by osmosis, we all know this stuff, right? So that's another part of being involved with this. Although, as we were talking about, I am officially have graduated from the city of LA. You would call it retirement, but I don't. Which means I can stay up as late as I want. And do these kinds of things when I want. All right, so we're gonna start off by doing general public comments on non-agenda items. And as you can read in front of you, you're gonna have a 2-minute period per speaker for anything that you want to discuss and bring up. Let's see what else. Signing officer may establish a minimum. Okay, we'll cut that, and we recognize each speaker requested to use a microphone. You have a microphone?
No.
No,
Okay, good. Use your public voice.
Just plug in a place.
Yeah, okay, looks good, but if you
Oh, for the.
we can use it, okay. All right, so for those of you with a soft voice, but those of you that have your public voice, which is what Ray and I were taught to use, right? I paid good money to get this voice when I was back at school, get my teacher credentials, so I like to use it when I can. All right, so any public comment?
yes, we have one. Lori Jacobs.
Okay.
Can I speak loudly from here?
Yes, you may.
Okay, as you guys know, I'm your homelessness liaison, so since you're at your retreat, I want to bring up a couple of issues, because I'd love to see this neighborhood council be a little more active in dealing with some of the issues related to one of the #1 crises we're experiencing here. I've shared before what neighborhood councils can do to help with homelessness, and one of the ones is legislative updates. So I've started cruising through the city council files and trying to include a couple of council files related to homelessness in each of my reports, but I don't know how to get that to the committees or what committee should look at these. So I'm just kind of throwing it out there so you guys can discuss later on. I'm not, it's public comment, you can't answer on that. But, and I'll look at county files too, but Tim does look for feedback. And so does all of city council. Maybe you want to consider assigning somebody who's just responsible for looking at legislative, issues, things like that. And beyond, I'm just looking at homelessness and housing and mental health, but somebody look beyond that. Somebody to research what local food distribution programs are happening in our community. Share it with the board, maybe you guys can participate at the food distribution, whether working it or making donations. I've talked to outreach about assembling hygiene kits, I don't know where they're at on that. And continuing to look at ways that we can educate the public on the truths and the root causes of homelessness. Because like I shared you guys, under the current economic situation, it's going to get worse, not better. And what can we do proactively as a neighborhood council to try and, I don't know, help with prevention? I'm just the liaison relating information to you. You don't actually have a committee on this, and I'm not suggesting you do. But I'm just asking, I don't know, between outreach, safety committee, maybe even environmental, look at some of all the committees. Maybe there's something that you could suggest, and of course, always, anytime we do have an outreach event, or you guys are not a week, consider having, like we've done in the past, collect new socks, a warm coat drive, things like that. All of these things make a difference. So just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have another?
Because it's not on the agenda, coming up for outreach. And this is just to put in your notebook right now, your next meeting that you have in outreach. You need to be allocating money to ask to use the money for the parade, ask for the money to do Candy Cane Lane for the arts and crafts. If you're gonna do the tree lighting, ask for money for the tree lighting for Tim's CD 15. We have to get that all in because they are going to make us stick to the 30-day or more to submit for permission from the city clerk to do these events and have our events submitted. So we need to be on it and not be lingering late.
Thank you. Can you believe the holidays are on the corner already?
I know.
Grief.
That's right, the Irish holidays are next week.
That's right, yeah. Any other comments or public comments? Are we good? Okay. All right, Ray. We're done.
Just one second. Sorry. So, let's kind of keep the cat on. We're gonna move on to self-introductions and, like Gary to kind of run this one here as far as, what we're hoping to gain from each individual.
So for my edification, so some new faces here, so please introduce yourself. And then, I'm asking you in your best elevator speech project. You guys know what an elevator speech is, right? Everybody? Okay. I want you to respond, so that means 2 or 3 sentences to this question. What are the duties of a neighborhood council board member to their constituents? Elevator speech, I'm gonna give you a second to kind of mull that one out. And then I'm gonna try to find a brave soul who wants to be the first one to jump on this. Okay, so it's not gonna be on your permanent record, so don't get worried.
Our duty,
No, listen, introduce yourself. Introduce yourself.
I'm Melanie LeBrev. I've been on the neighborhood council for 10 years. And our duty to our stakeholders is to represent their needs and their concerns, not your own, but theirs. You have to be a representation of them.
Good, that's nice. That tells me a lot in my elevator. A good journey, you were next, right?
No,
Or, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, Tom. Oh, yeah, this is mouthful. Do you want to let her go first? Go ahead. I'm sorry, man.
My name is Cynthia. And, I think the thing I like to do is to go meet people. I meet people at the businesses. my neighbor walked by with a little kid and I hadn't seen it, so I ran out, I met him and I talked to their dog. And then I asked them what they want, so I listened to them, so I try and get to feel not just businesses or the neighborhood, but you know, even people that come by visiting. What don't you like about the area? What do you see for improvement, or what did you bring to our neighborhood that might be nice?
I like that. So that's, okay. Now, and I'll come to you next.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dane Nicholas. I've been on the neighborhood council for about maybe 6 months. Obviously a resident. What I believe that in this capacity is also, making aware of the resources that are available in the community, and the various types of stakeholders.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Yes, three, we'll go here, then come to you. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Christina Calandra. I am actually new to Neighborhood Council, but I am here to be an advocate and to listen to hear what's going well in our community and what we need to fix, and to draw our neighborhood together, to bring enlightenment and joy so that we are a happier people in our community.
Does that fall under the line of quality of life?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, that's a line that we use a lot. Good.
I'm Chris Faye, been on the neighborhood council for 121 months.
All right.
I think that, the mission, the duty of, neighborhood councils is to be as knowledgeable, as possible in the functions of city government, so that we can explain that, to, stakeholders, and to be as current and knowledgeable as possible with the concerns and needs of the community, so that we can explain that to city government, so that we can hopefully, facilitate and speed up and maybe make more efficient communication between the average person who has an ask and the people who should, ultimately maybe be providing a response to that.
Right on. I like that response. Actually, 20-something years ago, that was what they were talking about. Very good. Yes, sir.
I'm John Barbera, been on this for 7 years now. And I'm on most of the committees. But the thing that we gotta do, and I think what's very important as a council, that we do the events, we all share the events. But the thing is, we need to get the stakeholders to work with us. And that's the whole key of this thing is how can you go out there, talk to the stakeholder, get them hooked to work with the councils that are here in San Pedro. And so that they can make the community just as good as we can. Because we get them to all work together, we're gonna have a great community.
Beautiful. That's it. Very good. Very good. Elevators. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Adrian. I've been doing neighborhood council for maybe a year and a half now. I've been on this neighborhood council for 3 months now, I think, for me, and I think it's important. Active participation in addressing the community needs. I think, I think we all ran with the idea of, serving our community, so I think just being present, talking to stakeholders, deliberating information, because to be honest, none of our stakeholders have the time like we do to come here, right? So I think it's very important that most of our here, we'll have to be as well at that time.
Very good. Has that time? Oh.
My name is Christina Rivera. I'm new as well, so going on 3 months. And, I've got a little bit of what everyone said, but also more so to even start getting some of the youth involved and hearing their feedback, because sometimes they're experiencing a different reality, and not even youth of like just 17, but like even 20, 30-year-olds as well. So, and getting their opinion and their input, because they view things a lot differently than, someone that has been living in San Pedro for 30+ some years, so.
Okay, very good. Yes, yes.
I am Kelly. I am the school representative, and one of the reasons I got involved is because as a teacher and representing my school, I want to know what's going on in our neighborhood and how it affects our kids. And I want the kids to know what's going on in the neighborhood and how they can be effective for the neighborhood. So it kind of works hand in hand to help be present for them and help them it's been really great to come back to my school and talk about events that are happening and just being on top of things that are happening in the neighborhood. And parents come to me and ask me, did you hear about this? Or do you know about this? And what's my opinion of it? So, and what's been great too is when, I've had parents come in need and I've had people that can direct me directly to how to get them help. It's giving my students and my parents and my families support within our neighborhood. So that's why I got involved and that's why I'm staying involved.
The conduit to community, excellent. To whom we turn.
It gets harder, right? The more you said everything.
Right.
So I guess what I would add to what's already been said is, I think one of my favorite parts of being on the council is the direct action that we can do. So like planning a movie night or native gardening in Peck Park or planting flowers in April. Like I love the direct action things that we do in addition to
What's your name?
Angela Sumner. Did I not say that one?
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Make sure you let them know who you are.
Okay.
My name is Alonzo Jenkins. I've been on the board for about a year now, almost a year. I think one of the most important things with these things that I'm doing is being able to serve the community to grow from this person with the community. And I believe certain issues with that. I believe with that, we can figure out certain issues together and have solutions to those issues.
Okay, thank you. Got one left.
Looking away.
You almost were.
He's probably going last. Vic Christensen, I'm kind of with Angela, along with what everybody else has said. I think the one misunderstanding that some people have in the community is that the neighborhood councils actually have power. And that may sound bad, but saying it that way, but they think that we can write letters to people and force them to do things. And we can't. And as Dirty Harry would say, a man has got to know his limitations. Well, the community needs to know the limitations of what a neighborhood council can do and can't do.
Excellent. If I may just jump on that in the conduit, as a human relations advocate, the idea of the neighborhood councils, when it was brought forth, was as this is the grassroots level that will help provide opportunities to other organizations, other people, schools, whomever, and for the bureaucrats to have a place to come down to learn, to have a place that they can start to put up their information. And hopefully it would morph into a more working relationship. The idea of having power isn't that neighborhood councils can declare war or, sentence someone to death. You might like to do that sometimes, but you can't do that. But where does the power lie? And it's in the conduit. Our work as human relations folks for the county and the city rely on us knowing how to put together those little dots, right? Hey, that person has information that they need, right? We don't know it necessarily, but we know enough to know that that person can help this person, or you can help her, that kind of stuff. That's where the power comes from, and that comes from the community as well, getting somewhat involved and putting some skin in the game for the better quality of life. That makes sense?
Yes.
Doesn't mean, so I think you're saying, you guys have more time than others. Sadly to say, I do have more time than others right now. But I enjoy that. That's what we do. That's what we enjoy. To make fun of it, but other people can put some time, right? And you can be among those leaders that help them bring that little time. The information that you were just talking about a while ago is very important, and it can be funneled to others. The school, when I was teaching, that was a perfect place for information coming in, right? In and out, it's like hamburgers all about, right? We're getting all that information out there and learning stuff too, right? That maybe we're not aware of before. So I like what you guys were saying. I think you're on the right path that way. And that's what you can do, how you can create, and this is what we were hoping 25 years ago. this thing's gonna build up. Okay, not gonna happen overnight, but that folks such as yourself coming out and volunteering, right? Putting some time for it, can help create and inspire others. I was kidding with Ray yesterday. I had a sudden vision of you guys pretty much our neighborhood, like House's neighborhood, right? And you guys know the cartoon Peanuts, right? Where Lucy puts her little table up, sits on the, on the grass. I don't expect you guys to sit in a corner like that, open for business, come and talk to the neighborhood council, nickel a session. But there are ways that you can out there, right? To help people, they say, hey, you know what? I know Ray hangs out in the coffee shop very so often. I'll go over there and look. Right? That kind of stuff. So I like what you said. It was very good and appreciate your time. Ray? Oh,
Accountability,
oh,
that's what we.
that's a good word.
So upstairs as well as downstairs.
Yeah, well, all the way to that.
Yeah.
Right? Accountability is a big thing. Yes.
actionability to that. But I also wanted to mention, because I am one that might not have the time, but it's very important to make the time because it is so important to me. And then I hopefully can energize others to want to make the time
There you go.
because where I live is important. And I hope it's important to everybody.
Well, it is.
So,
Educators are important. Why?
Yes.
Because kids can look up and see an example of somebody.
You have to model behavior you want.
There you go. That's why I used to travel overseas when I was teaching. I didn't want people to see me howling at the moon. All right, but you're absolutely right. Okay, Ray?
So, let me share with you what you all have been sharing, from my perspective. And I think one of the most important things that I noticed that we do, and I think for the most part, we do it very well, is that we model. We model the behavior that we're hoping the rest of the community is gonna pick up and repeat and replicate. One of the biggest things, going back to the work that Gary and I have done for so many years, is the fact that if you want to get things done, you have to be not only the one that voices the problem, but you also have to voice what that solution is.
Yeah.
And when it really is gonna make a mark is if you also volunteer to be that solution. So there's three parts to that. Know the problem, voice the solution, and get involved. And I think that is what is important, that the community sees from us, and that what's important is the modeling aspect of getting involved and making things better for those individuals around us who seem to have a little hard time right now. Because this is a difficult time in our society all the way around. So that's how I approach the work.
Ray, if I might add to that, a philosopher once said, from the from the little acorn grew the mighty oak tree. Takes time, right? So you may not be around to see the end result, but you're the beginning. You're the planting of the seed. Okay. And by the way, that philosopher was W.C. Fields. I don't know if anybody knows who he is. It's still good.
Just remember the little cigar.
No, that's a Groucho. W.C. Fields, wait, case your father.
Yeah, there you go. Look them up, YouTube, you'll like them. Oh, boy.
Tell the old people in this place. So I'm gonna use myself as an example as we move on to this thing. When I got married, very soon after I got married, had my daughter, and she was probably a higher level of enthusiastic about what she does than I was. The one thing that she took away from me early on was her embracing of language. And it was the worst language you've ever heard. She played softball and she could cuss up a softball. And I'm gonna tell you, I was pretty proud when I heard her playing the F word out there. When she was pitching and she got a bad call.
But over time, I think that as much as that's appreciated, as much as I laugh about it, as much as I am so proud to hear you say that, it's literally, and I did have to say that to her. We gotta figure out a different way of expressing ourselves. So, so over time, I tried to help her understand what that was by dragging her with me to every community meeting I did, in my job with County of LA. And I'm gonna tell you, she did it kicking and screaming. She did not want nothing to do with it because, I mean, she had better things to do. She played, you know, she loves to play softball. And that's where she spent a lot of her time. But as time went on and as all the ugliness of dragging her and her crying and she had, you know, she did not want to go. Over time, I kind of saw a change in her. So when she graduated from high school, she got an opportunity to join AmeriCorps. And her AmeriCorps assignment, this was a couple of years after she was, you know, already into her college career. But she had this desire to do something and she joined AmeriCorps. And her AmeriCorps assignment was with the Red Cross. And she, in AmeriCorps, went to every nationally declared disaster for the 2 years that she was with AmeriCorps. Every disaster. And they took pictures. She eventually became a national disaster coordinator when she graduated from the AmeriCorps program. And the Red Cross hired her. And for the next 12 years, she went to every disaster that happened in the United States. And she saw the worst that people had to deal with. And I am so proud to know that I think I sparked that in her. You know, because it's getting involved, that's important, but it's getting involved and doing what is right. Because there are so many people who are out there that get involved, but they kind of go off the rails there a little bit. With that said, she's left the Red Cross. She became a social worker. And now she works for the Department of Children and Family Services as a child social worker. So I say that with such pride because she continues to serve community. And I think that's where we come in. We continue to serve, you continue to model, and we hope that people are gonna walk away knowing that this neighborhood council system is a system that works. Because I will admit, there are some neighborhood councils that are still struggling on how to do it and do it right. Yeah. So I think we got it pretty good. So anyway, what I want to do is let's move on to agenda item number 4, which is Melanie's going to take on, and that's the neighborhood council funding reviewing event budget resource process. Melanie?
Okay, just real quick. So Kate, did you miss the last 2 pages on lanyards and folders? You don't want a book?
I did miss it.
Okay, and Angela, you too on lanyards and folders? To get your name lanyard as well as,
Yeah.
you know, and you have a folder already.
I looked at the first.
Okay. Can we pass? The last 2 pages are different stuff.
Oh, yeah. Christina, put your name down for a lanyard. Did you want a book?
Alrighty, so to start off with. Anybody, you guys all know, I'm Melanie. I'm your treasurer.
I didn't see the other.
So. The funding, let's see if I can stand them.
Oh, be careful.
So I can stand it. So.
I would not lean on that because it's moving and you're gonna fall.
Get them down.
It's locked.
There.
Oh, I can fall. Walker.
We'll do this. Okay, so. This is to get you guys so you can understand the concept of what it takes to fund, like an event or a sponsorship, to do an activity for our neighborhood council. So the first thing that has to happen is you have to have a concept. You have to have an idea or planning an event or request for sponsorship. Once that happens, then it has to go to a standing committee. Standing committees are outreach or youth and outreach, sustainability, or, public safety, or issues. Budget and finance can't do motions other than budgetary type things out of our committee. The other standing committees can make motions for events and money to come. When that happens, I have here, this is a sheet that was developed that everybody has here, and you can make copies of it. That this is the information I need all on this sheet in order to submit to the city clerk for permission and approval of the spending of an event or a sponsorship. All of this is imperative to be filled out all the time, because this is gives me the information to submit. This comes after you take it to your committee and have this filled out, and you have a vote, and you have minutes that state that everybody is approved, and this concept idea, this event, the sponsorship has been approved. It is sent to budget and finance. It doesn't go to executive board, it doesn't go to the board, it goes to budget and finance. So you have to time it for a budget and finance meeting, that's the first Wednesday of every month. It comes to budget and finance, we review it. We make sure that you've sent me everything, so we're gonna come to this chart. So the idea is here. It's come to your standing committee. Then you send it to budget and finance, okay? So you send it to budget and finance, and I have only your minutes, or I don't have your minutes, and I don't have everything that I have requested on the sheet. Guess what happens? It goes back to the standing committee and delays it. And it's gonna have to be done the right way. Then it comes back to budget and finance. But once it's okay, then it comes to the first board meeting after it's been approved. At that time, then the board discusses it and the board approves it. Nothing is paid or done out of our public funds that we have until the full board approves it. Nothing is approved unless the board approves it. I don't approve it. You don't approve it. You don't approve it. Ray doesn't approve it. The full board has to approve the spending of the funds, of the public funds. It has to be a 9 quorum meeting of at least 9 to pass motions to spend money. Then here we go. Okay, the board has approved it. So what are we gonna do? It's gonna come to me. I'm gonna submit all the forms that we need, the information we need, everything, the whole package to the city clerk. And then we wait. And then we get a response back from them saying it's approved or not approved. So no money can be spent ever until that approval is received. So we can't go out and say, oh, there's no approval. Oh, yeah, for Christina. Well, I went and I bought like these pens and little stickers and things like that to hand out to everybody, and I want to get reimbursed. Nope, you just ate it. It wasn't approved. The money wasn't approved. And no money is spent until there's an approval. No board member can go spend money and ask for reimbursement for things that are not approved ahead of time. Also, one of the things, this little thing here. So like with candy canes for John for outreach, when we do Candy Cane Lane, and the little craft kits and stuff. It'd be much easier, geez, if I could just order these darn things and they come to John's house. That would make things simpler. He'd have them right there and everything. Well, the way that it's set up with, again, public funds and the city clerk, it has to go to our office of record. It has to go to Christina's office for everything, and we arrange, she calls, she's really good about calling when it comes, and we go pick it up. So. Yeah, so that is, and that's why all of our stuff is stored at her office too. But I hope, I did this chart kind of like to kind of show it like a flow chart, so you kind of see the way that it flows and everything, the way that the money is approved and the steps, kind of too, so.
Would it be possible to walk through a hypothetical event so we can get dates? Like, what kind of timeline are we
Okay,
looking at?
well, like for instance, right now, you guys have, I received an application for the parade, okay?
So first,
So the first step that I'm going to have to do that's in my ballpark is I received this application from them. I have already taken and sent that application to city clerk because I cannot sign it, Ray cannot sign it, nobody can fill out that application. I have to send the blank application to them to approve that we can even participate or fill out this application for the parade. Then what they do is send a letter back giving myself or Ray permission to fill this application out and sign it.
Pre-approval.
Right, and that's going to take a few weeks for them to do that, to get it back to me. So meantime, what you guys need to do, because we have to have, so you set up your committee meetings, knowing that you have to give budget and finances on Wednesdays, first Wednesday of every month. So you have to make sure that these holiday events that are coming up in December are approved in October by October board meeting, so that they can go to the city clerk at the October budget and finance meeting, to the board meeting the second Monday of the month in October, so that they can go be filled out, go to the city clerk and be approved in November to start getting everything from Oreo trading, to get the candy canes, to, you know, get the money paid to this parade, all of that, because it all has to be paid in November.
how long does the city clerk's office usually take?
30+ days, and they are sticklers on it.
Yeah.
If you give them under 30 days that you need an approval now, they will tell you to take it back and put in your event. Unfortunately. It's really a bummer, but they're really, really, really being sticklers about it now. So.
If I can just say, you mentioned Christina on a couple of occasions, and I think we have a couple of Christinas who think talking about us.
I figured you meant.
So we have,
Christina C and Christina
You guys want me to?
B. Christina C and B.
so Christina, what she's making reference is Christina Smith from the mailroom where we get.
Oh, yeah,
Mail.
and Christina Smith, yeah. So we have Christina before here. Christina with a K.
And the fact that it's kind of migrating to Cheryl.
Yeah.
Cheryl
Yeah.
work. So just so that there's clarity and you guys, we're gonna mail it to.
We're gonna mail it to Cleveland.
I figured it was another. Okay.
So just
The mail
so that you're aware, we do have a mail, a place where we actually store our
Yeah.
equipment
All our equipment's there.
and also,
And all our paper and our printers, and she does our printing, and so if for your committee need printing done, you send it to Christina and you ask her to, or Cheryl, the NC web posting, and you send it to them and they'll print it for you, and there's extra paper there for that. So,
they have a printer that we have purchased and they
Two of
also have paper that we purchased
yep,
to do that stuff, so.
Kelly,
So you're saying from point six on this paper is a month, 30 days plus,
30 days plus, yes.
from 6, okay. Cause I'm like, is that from there? We have to get it 30, so 30 days from this.
So one of the things too, so like with a sponsorship. When it's a sponsorship, they have to invoice us. I need a letter and an invoice. That has been the protocol now for sponsorships.
Sponsorship has to come through a standing committee.
Yes, it does. And it has to come through a standing committee, but the sponsorship,
So that's like for Candy Cane Lane and.
no, that Candy Cane Lane is an event where we're physically having a table, we're a sponsor and we're participating. Sponsorship is where they're just asking, like, for Tim, for the Christmas tree lighting,
Uh-huh.
it's participation of sponsoring CD 15's event. It's their event,
Oh.
and we're just kind of there. That is a sponsorship, and they have to give us a letter and an invoice. John's been through this routine with them. And, what we need, and usually that just cuts a check and it's paid.
Yeah.
When it's a big event where there's a lot of people and it's Candy Cane Lane, that turns into, and we're buying crafts for it, buying things for it, it turns into more of an event. And so they have to make sure that the person responsible and all that is insurance and all that, that we're on the flyer, you know, and being for the amount of money we're giving them, et cetera, et cetera. The parade, again, is just for that, it's a process of just voting. That for itself is just participation, sponsorship thing also.
It's a
But
community event.
it's a community event. So that is just a whole thing with the whole application that we aren't allowed to fill out applications, no matter what our title is on the board. We have to have the city clerk give us the authority to fill out the application. They have to give us a letter. Just like I found out recently, and this is something, Chris, that if we go to print a banner or go to print any type of promotional material, say, that has the city clerk's or the city's logo, I have an email name now that you have to send it to this woman and get a letter of permission to use the city's logo. Even though we're a city entity, they are pushing this now, that we have to ask for permission on our banners and things like that to use the city logo.
Is that a law, a rule, a directive,
It's a directive now.
So it's not in the funding program?
No, it's not, but it's come up twice now. It's come up twice now.
Letterhead from our school, unless we have permission from the board to use it for whatever. Same thing, anytime you're using somebody's logo or whatever, that makes sense.
Essentially a
Without
copy.
permission.
The thing that I got into it,
It's essentially a copyright
Yeah.
type thing.
the thing that I got into with Daniel and with the city clerk about was that we are a city entity. Why are we having to ask permission to use the city logo? We are in partnership with the city.
Oh, we're
And they said,
elected officials.
right, and we're elected officials,
And
and
we're
so
also
even though we have our own logo,
Logo belongs.
why are we having to ask permission to use the city logo? And they said, it's required.
Yeah, that's not.
So could you leave the city logo off and then you don't have to deal with that?
Right, you could leave the city logo off and just not,
Always a workaround.
exactly.
Or we can use it and see what they do, because.
Well, we've done it before on banners.
It's already
been us.
All the
It's already
banners had it and we've
Well, no,
never.
and that's my point is, when something like that changes, we've gone through this with a variety of other sort of directives or whatever.
Right.
Advice from city attorney or from city clerk, and we haven't, they told us what they told us, which is clearly, and understandably, to make their jobs and their lives easier. But what we haven't ever gotten is an adult explanation of, this is why this is, these are the consequences for not doing it, it's sort of.
Right.
Like, there's things that they would suggest to us, and we're supposed to go along with it, but when we ask, like, what's your rationale, what's the basis of this sort of thing, it's kind of like, they don't respect us enough to give us the answer.
Right.
But they expect that we do what they say.
Just real quick, both with human relations and with EWDD, that was an issue at times. Whether or not something that we're getting involved with, we could put the logo on.
Oh, okay.
So it's not,
Even though you're a city entity too.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, it makes perfect sense that they
but
would.
it would be nice to know exactly why.
Exactly what and exactly why, and, and
And-
fit somewhere where we know this is a consistent.
Even something else that came up yesterday that was interesting, so I'm in the process, I'm in a working group of developing the new manual for funding. And so a lot of the, things that we drafted over the last several months, they're sending rough drafts of what we decided on and things that were discussed. One of the things that came in the rough draft yesterday was that, and Vic, you'll find this interesting, that the MER is due on the 10th of every month, or you are in trouble. Basically, your funds are held. And I wrote back Shauna and I said, Shauna, this doesn't work. The 10th of every month, 6 out of 12 months, our board meeting is after the 10th of the month. It's on the second Monday of every month. We would be in trouble 6 months out of 12. I says, that is not fair. You should have it where it's due like 10 days after your board meeting or 5 days after whenever your board meeting is to approve it, or due the end of each month. I said, but to say 10 days after and have that, there's a lot of other neighborhood councils that are gonna be affected along Northwest on that and be in trouble. And she told me she'd take it under consideration.
That's better than.
That was the reply that I got.
Trying to put logic on this.
Well, I mean,
For the, something like that, like, for example, the logo, to ask for it in writing, you like.
Yeah, it's in writing.
But no, but like I'm saying, like, if, like, in writing, if you don't follow A, B, C, D, E, F, G, kind of like what Chris.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, because anyone could send you an email saying, my boss says this is the.
Exactly.
Whatever,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they may not know themselves, but like, you know, since this is something that they've drawn a line somewhere. I would like, it's just like, you know, I know how stop signs work, you know, and it's not by accident, so like, please explain this to me.
What it came up with was I sent, materials to the city clerk that was a flyer that had the city logo on it. Oh, it was our sign.
Yeah.
It was our sign, our public safety sign. And I got an email back saying, your sign's nice, but did you get permission to use the city logo? And I said, I had to get permission to use the city logo. And they said, yes, ma'am, you do. And I'm like going, well, I have never, ever on anything else, our flyers or anything else, or our banners, ever had to get the permission of the city logo. No city clerk has ever funding rep told me that I have to do that. Well, she says you have to. I go every time, yes, ma'am. And I'm like, okay, then. So then this other woman, Arlene or something like that, or Arlene, all of a sudden is emailed, and I had to email her and send it and get a approval after the fact on it, because you were printed already. And then I got an email back with an approval of using the city logo. But it's supposed to be done before it.
Yeah, I mean,
is printed.
it makes sense, and I would just, again, if it's something that's required, if it's a rule or whatever it is, they should be able to cite something, like, as they're typing, since they know this exists, they should be able to give us a citation, like, this is where you go to find this, because I don't wanna take one person's word for it, because we've seen so many times that there's a.
One person says one thing and the other.
And whoever takes their job next, or whoever, whatever.
Exactly.
They choose to enforce that or not, and, you know, they can tell us anything, and we would just trust them and take their word
Yeah,
for it.
no, that's right, I was just saying, as an outline.
Yeah.
Of it, and then bring it back.
It's not a big deal.
No, but it's not an answer, so, well, because you have.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I agree.
What answer is that? You know, well, we have to use, well, because we said so.
Yeah.
Lori?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this over the years, with the city clerk, that every time they change personnel,
Yes.
whether there's a misunderstanding of the rules, or they wanna, you know, flaunt their power and try to, you know, what doesn't really matter. So all of these things should be in a manual of what's required, okay? And we should not be at the mercy of there being a new Shauna.
Right.
Okay, and you have to start all over again. But if using the city logo, you know, is gonna be a hot topic or a hot button item, if you don't have to use it, is there something that says you have to use the city logo?
No, I think just because it has more clout, when
Well,
you put it up that the
You may
city.
think it adds credibility, but I guarantee you, people looking at the flyers like, oh, the city logo's on there, so this is really important
Yeah.
event.
Yeah.
Nobody's paying attention to it. You don't need the credibility, in my opinion. Take the road of least resistance.
Right, we thought that having the city logo too on the signs
Yeah.
would make people less, because they think that the city put it there too, which they did, they gave us permission for it, and they aren't touching them. That it would make it so it would be least likely less that people take them.
Well, and, you know, we are elected officials, we do have
I mean, it's not, we didn't just wander it off the street, and we have to do their, their trainings and all that stuff. And so, again, I just want to, like Laura was saying, is that when a new person takes the job and all of a sudden something pops out
Yeah,
of the ether.
exactly.
or
We've
it's
gone
no
through
longer-
this the last 10 years.
Yeah, and so it's, I understand that we're certainly not the biggest fish that they have to fry at city clerk's office, but somebody's getting paid too, right? These emails, can we just have some consistency?
Yeah.
But it's nice to go back.
So Daniel, do you know that there's any like written word on the use of the city logo and getting permission every time we use it as neighborhood council?
So I'll start by saying I don't know. But I will say I do know, because I was a board member, that's always been, I'm talking about 2013. I knew that in 2013, that you have to get city clerk's approval. No matter if you want to put it on a business card and everything. Just speaking on my neighborhood council
Right.
experience, right? Recently, this conversation did come up, so to me, that's what I know as a board member.
Right.
And so because I'm staff now, I would say it still applies, but I learned that as a board member, and I didn't receive written communication about that. I mean, actual location where to find, I think my EA at the time, shared that with me. So that's a process I share, with my neighborhood council. I will say, when it comes to using your business cards, that's how I know specifically. And you want to use the, city, logo on your business card, you have to get approval. I think what happens is, and this was clear to me because I have Anna and I love Anna to death as a funny grab. What tends to happen is, they might not tell you that, right? You might use the logo, and what happens, especially if you do an event, because they see that and I don't see that paperwork when we upload it, they might question it or they might not, but that's when they normally catch it. There was a conversation I came up with, it was like, well, Daniel, you're the NEA, but I'm like, if they don't share anything with me, I technically don't know. So I will kind of be your first line of defense in that, right? But, so for them, it's kind of like, if I miss it, they'll catch it if they're going through the paperwork third. For me, it's more of I do agree with the elected comment, right? But I think at this point, this is where we have to figure out the volunteer. I hate when we use that, but it's fact at certain times, and for me, this is the fact at the time. Crossing T's and dotting I's, I don't think it's a bad thing. I do support club, and I do also support the idea of maybe not really, but just going through that process, I think would support you utilizing it in a longer way. But I can ask them to, if I can go back and ask the department if there's anything that says it.
Cite something in writing
Yeah,
that says.
I like the error on the fact that.
Yeah, and we're not trying to provoke them anyway.
Right, it's just something cited in writing that says the policy, because going through the funding manual, sitting through that, the restructuring of it and doing that whole thing with the funding working group, doing the reconstruction of that whole funding manual, it is not in the funding manual.
Well,
You all asked it and put it in there.
No, I didn't, but
I think
this
that-
was after the fact that this came up.
This is just the AI overview, so don't take it as gospel, but it says, the Los Angeles City Seal can be used by the city of Los Angeles, its officers, departments, and city-sponsored events for official purposes. The use of the seal for any other purpose, including commercial or private use, is prohibited unless written authorization is granted by the city manager or city council, so it doesn't mention the city clerk, for a specific public purpose. Official city business can use the city seal, so any department, official city documents, city-sponsored events, or public officials, it means city councils may license the sale of items bearing the seal if a public purpose is served. We may not use the city seal, unauthorized individuals, obviously, commercial, private purposes, obviously, deceptive purposes, obviously. So again, this is just the AI scraping the information, but it's like, it also doesn't exactly jive with what they said, so.
Transparency, I think that's where you get the city clerk, because at one point they pitched it over to our department. Which kind of makes sense, because we simultaneously work closely with you all. And I think if you were like, hey, Daniel, we want to use the seal, I can do that for you all. I can ask somebody in the department, maybe we'll approve it, but I think where we are right now is that the city clerks approves it for you all. And if the higher ups have that discussion to where we do it, because we work closely
Well,
with
there's
you on the
a
design.
special person, I've got it at home, that I have to email in, it's like in the city. It's a city department that approves it, not the city clerk.
What happens is, I learned, again, because this conversation didn't recently come up for me, it was, each department has somebody in the department that approves the use of the seal for that
Oh, okay.
department. And so it gets weird with you all, cause it's like, do you want the
That's
city
weird.
clerk to approve it, or do you want them to approve it, you know what I mean? And at this point, I can tell you, it's the city clerk. Just-
Right.
You know, it appears that what we're lacking is consistency in the
Oh, that's it,
process.
right.
And if we can find that one straight line of the approval process,
It's
so what I'm hearing from you, Daniel, is that if there's someone within the department that has the authority to approve it, we just go straight to you and not necessarily, you know, make that call to the city
Right.
clerk, because that's another level of a bureaucracy that could deny something that we've always
Right,
had.
and that's been a
And
complaint
it's
from
gonna
city
be,
clerk.
and it's gonna be just one avenue that we have to take, because no matter what we do here, we're always gonna be looked upon as the children in training. you
Yeah.
know, for the city.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you, this morning, when we were at the charter reform meeting,
Mhm.
the one thing I heard, and they mentioned neighborhood councils a lot during the time that we were there.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I'm really happy to say that Tim really supported the neighborhood council system. But what I heard is that even though in many sentences and in many arenas, they have indicated that we are electeds. In the eyes of personnel, we're volunteers.
We're volunteers, yes. Even
And-
though,
And that's
Sharing that.
And
Yeah.
they make that distinction.
right,
So it makes it very hard for us in our capacity
clout,
as
or
elected officials, you know, given that's what we hear. That, you know, we want to be able to streamline the process, because every time I order a box of business cards for us, and it has the city seal,
Mhm.
we have to get approval, even though I had approval 14 years ago
right,
when I started the neighborhood council,
Right.
and I have my business cards with the city seal back then.
And it's not so much about the seal, but it's about, again, how they deal with
Right.
it.
And I'm also gonna say, if I can, that there is a certain level of credibility that city seal gives us in doing our city
right,
duty.
it does.
And even
Even on
though-
your business card, you know, having that on your car.
Even though there is somebody who's, some people may give it more credibility than others, it gives us the ability to do our job in a bit more of a focused arena, and people will respect the fact that we are out there doing their work. Aries has his hand up.
Right,
So why do we have laws? Because somebody screwed up somewhere.
yeah,
Early on in the system, there were some people taking their neighborhood council cards with that city logo out of the country and using it for business. Using it for influence. Okay, this is many years back.
Now I know what to do.
All right, so even council members at times have to get approval from somebody.
Oh, wow.
Why? Because people, and I'm not gonna say names, but some people are in jail.
Yeah.
They've done something wrong.
they're using it for
Yeah, and
their own
so
benefit.
somebody somewhere, not you, right? Not most of the people I've worked with through the last 20-something years, and I'm sure you too, with the neighborhood council, but a few have done something wrong. And so at the end, I think even the city clerk has to end up with talking to the attorneys.
Mhm.
They always have to go back to somebody else. Even when we're in human relations, we had to do that because they're just worried. And sometimes unfortunately, somebody has done something wrong to make that happen. So I know it's frustrating, but through the years working with the city, I understood, somebody, better not use that one, some idiot. Screwed something up, and so the rest of us have to pay the price for it.
So I'm gonna go to Kate next, but just let me say that I think what we need to do is use a certain level of consistency in getting what we need.
Yeah.
And I'm sure glad Daniel's here to say that there is someone within the department that has the authority to say it. So from this point forward, hello, city clerk, but this is for you, and Daniel, we need your, your, assistance in getting that individual, so that we can make it consistent.
So,
Okay.
so we've gone on this particular topic from funding to seal, and I understand bad actors, but something also came up. Again, copyright laws and all that, I totally get it.
Yeah.
But there's another issue that brought up from either the LA Charter Reform or between the city clerk and Dunn in terms of how this body is perceived. And for me personally, if you're gonna make me run for something, it's a job. And I consider this professional volunteerism. So the way that, because we're at a retreat, and this is what companies do call professional development.
Yeah.
And so we're learning the practices, updating, so
Right.
this is all business to me. So, but there does need to be some type of clarification, because if we're trying to move things, whether make our seats, our streets safer through signs. Yeah, there's some bad actors. Yes, we should get an easier process, but when it comes to like a conversation like the LA Charter Reform, and then we're just kind of just seen as a nuisance, then that's a whole different, that's a very serious thing for me, because I worked on getting the signs done. I'm thinking about, community impact statement. I went to the training, I went to the Dunn training, I'm following up with Daniel, I'm going off, there was something this morning. There was a neighborhood plan check at 10 o'clock, right, that I can attend. And so there's a lot of real business that's happening, and I wanna bring it to my body through a committee, have the meeting chair or not, or whatever, so there's all of that, this is not volunteer.
Well, that's where you guys are gonna be bringing it up to another level.
Yeah, if you're elected and go through the elections and elected to a position, it's not volunteer, you've been elected.
So, we're gonna need to move the.
Okay, Lori.
But I wanna make sure that we get your hands go, so Lori, and then, Daniel, and then I'll say one last.
Thank you, but not going into great detail, Kane. I was at the charter reform, and the, I guess, general manager of personnel, I think that's her title, of the city. She explained in great detail why we're listed as volunteers and not employees. I don't think that's on the table for discussion, so just to put an end to that. We need to work around that in a different way, but that I do not believe, Ray, you were there, you heard it, that's not going to change by her definition, yeah. So just to kind of put an end to that idea. I hear what you're saying, but it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think moving forward, for the time you being here, I'm just gonna try to give input on, I want to like my ideas. What I feel kind of brings things together at a particular time. I do agree with a lot of what you said, and I think what happens is we use board members, or the system uses volunteers very divisive when they don't want to do things, when they don't want to step up. Now we're volunteers, and I get it. And so with my boys, with you all, I guess, because you all consider it, I will always say lean on the elected side, because then we could try to navigate the city organization to get what we need to serve our community. But I don't, the idea of being volunteers and personnel, I think that's a good starting point, because it puts you in a position to understand kind of what you can and cannot do as a volunteer. But if you want to uplift more of the elected side, in my humble opinion, I'm like, I guess it's Form 700, fill that out too, right? Because I have to, if I have any interest financially in certain businesses and things like that, I have to release that. And I feel like if you all wanted to be taken more seriously, or et cetera, that would be another step, right? Maybe the ethics commission or the ethics department should oversee some of you all's ethics trainings and stuff like that. When you start separating the powers to the departments that need to be, I think that makes sense. And then when you say, hey, we're elected, now we have a conversation that's very much different than we have today, when folks just lean on the volunteer side of things, right? But I think if you start having those conversations amongst yourselves, if people want that, that's great. But then other people like us are very regular people right? Our day-to-day is come do this is our service and we go home. We might not want people to pry in our finances and all this and that, when we're just trying to come to the table, serve our community, go home. So it's a balance. We just have to find a balance that makes sense, because maybe we can let go of some of the volunteer pieces, have more of a stronghold of what it means to be elected. But I think we may be giving up so maybe your training is mandatory, and if you miss one, you're just out of the system forever. I don't know, right? But
And to.
those are conversations.
Just in closing, it's also a deterrent for people to get engaged. Because it's like, well, I wanna come to the meetings, but they can't get anything done, right? And because, I mean, just getting a sign approved, that's gonna take 45 to 60 days. You know, and I'm unelected, let alone somebody who just wants to casually engage with with their local neighborhood council. So it's a deterrent for people to wanna help.
Thank you for
Daniel, I got a question, or did anyone? Who gave the authority for city clerk to police the logo and everything? How are they, why are they?
Because they have to administer it.
You'll probably need to get the city
I
manager.
think,
They
I think if we go,
administer.
if you go back to the initial, when I started, it's the funding side of it, and normally you wanna do events and all that's packed in a packet, and they'll see it at the end after it's uploaded. That is my humble assumption, but historically, we have to remember, everything was underdone, right? Finances and everything, then it's separated. And so,
It got to be.
we have to begin to start thinking that way too. It's like, what used to be unified and then now what is separate? And I think we're beginning to get some answers and be able to, streamline some of the process that you all are asking for. Because I think internally sometimes too, I get confused. I'm like, I gotta go reach over here. I thought I had to reach over here, but that's because, a lot of our policies or a lot of our information has to be updated too. So it's clear that you all like, no, this is city clerk and this is done, right?
Right, and with what Ray said about consistency, I think I've seen the last 10 years is every time we get a new funding rep and they change. Then all of a sudden, oh, you can't do that, but you were doing it with this funding rep, and then all of a sudden you can't change, and so they aren't all on the same page, and they all aren't familiar with all the rules, and even a couple of them I've had to train and tell them, no, you're misquoting the rules, let me show you, this is what it is. I don't have to go to the city attorney for every MPG.
And you don't.
It's only if there is a conflict, and that person needs to go to the city attorney. Here, this is what it says though. Oh, I just checked with my boss, this is true. You know, so that's kind of been the thing.
Let's go to Gary.
Real fast. That's why they had city charter reform 30 years ago. Because they didn't know where things were going, right?
Yeah.
Because what was going on back in the good old days of the 1950s wasn't working, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why it's happening again. And to be honest with you, some people just want to drop the ball on somebody else so they get blamed.
Yeah.
So let's move it here, let's move it there. Hey, guess what? I'm the fool that got stuck for a year being the final decision maker on neighborhood council elections,
Oh, geez.
right?
Let's just hold it.
Town just thank you. And then when somebody figured out you can get money for it, then they moved it somewhere else.
City clerk.
Okay,
So let me kind of bring this up about.
Okay.
You know, I think there's some cachet when one can say that I am an elected official, you know, given your role here as a neighborhood council. But let me tell you something that you probably would never want to happen as an elected official. The fact that every year, as an elected or as a commission member, you are obligated to fill out a state form.
Financial.
The 700 form and the state 60 form.
Yep.
And in doing that, you have to give up your personal financial information.
Yep.
And that is public record.
yeah.
Yep.
And so being able to say that you're a volunteer, you're much better guarded than if you're a commissioner or an elected official or an exempt employee.
Yeah.
With the city.
Yeah.
You do not
Actual
do it this way. Otherwise, your business is out there in the world to,
Yeah.
you see.
Everyone to see.
So I'm just saying that. So there is an advantage to being a volunteer.
Oh, wow.
Okay. But if I can say, Daniel, real quick, and, again, I'm gonna appreciate you for being here, for saying what you said. For this point, we're now on, go straight to done, let them make the decision. And if they tell you something otherwise, we blame it on that.
So I'll start. On all submissions from now on CC.
See, John, see what I'm saying? I like, that good?
Well, so you might not get that from all NEAs, but I tell, like, we have to figure out our relationship between me and you all, right? There's some things I can't take a hit on for you. I mean, I'm not putting you in a position to take a hit from me, but at the end of the day, there's a balance to it. You might think it's annoying to CC me and everything, but I ain't gonna lie, when any set department reaches up, Daniel, no, cause I ain't never heard of it.
It's no big deal, it's just CC.
Yeah, but if you
There's an
CC me,
extra-
it's on my radar. Sometimes, so for example, right? I don't know if the city clerk's ever called them. I just don't. But I know they'll say, Daniel, can you reach out to Ray? In my head, I'm like, you don't got Ray, you can't call Ray? I don't know if I'm here for that, but I know I do that. I can still reach out to you on behalf of the city clerk's office. So that's another example of why, like, you can't always lean on me. So then I have the answers that I could give to them for you on your behalf.
And we know you're out there, we know you're out there and you'll take one for the team.
I'm gonna tell you, and it kind of folds into the next item on the agenda. And that's the power of relationships.
Yeah.
And this is where we gain most of our credibility in our community, is when we build those relationships inside and outside our communities. And we have to be able to do that with care and with a certain amount of, I want to go back because I said it earlier, diplomacy and tact. So that we can approach our city leaders. And I'm going to the next agenda item, number 5. The purpose of neighborhood council community events participation and being involved in your community. I'm sorry, I'm just jumping ahead of that on that hearing. Is the fact that we have kind of an obligation to represent two sides of this constituent world. There are people out there in the community looking upon us as their stepping stone into local government and speaking on their behalf through you. The other part to that is that we have to be able to have those relationships with city leadership to be able to have those conversations. And I'm gonna tell you that on so many different levels, we not as us here, but as a entity of the city in neighborhood councils, have a huge hill to overcome because we haven't done the right foundational work to be able to get it done efficiently. And I'm gonna say that's the part that we really need to be good at. But we all need to have that participation. And that is getting out of the community and participate in some of the things that we see is going on. Let me give you an example. The other night, they had the emergency preparedness town hall. How many people from this neighborhood council went?
How many what?
How many people went to that emergency preparedness town hall?
I did.
No, I want to know who went. Okay,
Three
three of us
plus.
and our liaison.
Right. And I'm disappointed about.
No, let me finish. There were people there who spoke very highly of the neighborhood council system, and I'll tell you who that was again. It was Tim. He was very generous about talking about the importance of neighborhood councils in that capacity. You know how many people from neighborhood councils that were in total for that whole thing?
Less than 10.
Yeah, about 5 people in the audience. For the whole neighborhood council system. And that was a sad thing to see, because there were people out there and every emergency-based city, entity was there to present.
Yeah.
And we had the opportunity to make good connections with the fire department, with the police department, with port police, with emergency services, with all these different places, and we just weren't present. But that's not something that's unique, that's something that we do all the time. We're just never present. I hate to say it, we're just not there. And we need to be there. We need to get out into all these things. When we have Candy Cane Lane, we have a handful of people that are there consistently and putting it together. When we have the holiday parade, we have a handful of people there and we're not always present. And those are the places where, I mean, it's actually fun and we still don't get up. I'm being preachy right now because I think that's one of my biggest frustrations is that we have opportunities to be there, be present, to let every one of our 60,000 people in the community know who Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council is all about. And we just fail at that thing. Because we gotta be present and we're not. We are not present. But you know what? You know what the real sad part about that is? That we're actually better than others. That's just gonna say. We are actually better than others. Because you'll never see some of the other neighborhood councils. There are neighborhood councils who pride themselves in challenging community leadership as opposed to working with them. I've seen it happen, and it's been some of our neighboring neighborhood councils who have been very proud about themselves doing that, and neighborhood council members. And man, we bite ourselves in the rear end because we're not being strategic and thoughtful. And I'm telling you, and this is, okay, I see this all the time. And it has been thrown back at me quite a few times. But I tell everybody that Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council is the best neighborhood council in the 15th district. And you know what we are? If there were everyone else around here were packed with other neighborhood council, I'd still say it in front of them.
Yeah.
I don't mind rubbing their noses in it because we are good. We don't, we have meetings and we don't fight with each other like I've seen other neighborhood councils do.
We don't have drama.
We spend most of our time doing the work.
We do really good work. In our committees, where we tell Doug all the time, and I tell other neighborhood councils and other neighborhood departments, the work gets done at the committee level.
Yeah.
And then, when that work is done, then it comes up to the full board to vote yea or nay with the recommendation of that committee. And I'm gonna tell you where it really showed off how good we do our job. Phillips 66.
Yep.
Phillips 66 is shutting down, right?
Yep.
We all know that.
Our
And they're
Rancho-
shutting down right now.
Yeah.
But our biggest nemesis as of today has not been Phillips 66. It's been planning.
Yeah.
The Department of Planning.
Yeah.
Because they came out with the NOP. How many of you have read it? Okay, they came out with the NOP. You know what the important part about the NOP is? The notice of preparation. They're getting ready to develop the EIR that they're gonna base the work on.
Right, isn't the draft, and the short time that we have to read.
Please. So based on what we contribute to the NOP is gonna be reflected on the EIR. And the EIR is gonna be reflective of what we're gonna expect from Phillips 66 when they start digging that mound of
polluted,
Toxic.
toxic waste.
So I have a
Social
question.
out there.
They said to us, and I haven't followed up on this, they said to us that they would have the environmental impacts by June. They're gonna start in June, maybe July. My friend works for the government who tests all that stuff. They have not put any testing. at all.
No, and they won't do it until we get our work done.
Right.
I'm telling you.
But I mean, they said,
So-
in good faith, they told us they were going to, and that's what I keep asking.
So let me tell you. Let me tell you, because of our relationship with our elected official. When we got the NOP, I sent off an email to the lead planning, person, her name is Kathleen King, in planning. We need 60 additional, comment days on the original 30 days they gave us. And we know for a fact, neighborhood councils cannot do their business in 30 days.
No. I saw that, I was like, oops.
So I asked for 90 days total.
You said that at the meeting.
Right.
Right.
And they said no.
They said no?
They said no. So other neighborhood councils asked for the same thing because now it became a coordinated effort for all the neighborhood councils for us to ask for the same thing. And guess what?
Yes.
Still said no.
They still said no.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what's the point? Like, not to say like.
Here's the point. Let me tell you exactly what the point is.
Like, what's the point if they like have their number here?
I'm going to tell you. It's the relationships that we have with our elected official for other departments that spoke on our behalf. I got a letter together, signed off by, Coastal, Central, us, and Wilmington, because those are all the communities that Phillips 66 is gonna affect. Fortunately, Harbor City was non-existent. They did not answer any of the requests or phone calls that I made. I sent Tim a letter asking him on behalf of all 4 neighborhood councils, please speak on our behalf. We need an additional 60 days to the NOP. You got it.
Yeah. God bless them.
God bless who?
You and Tim.
Oh, okay.
Don't blow up his ego anymore.
No, because if you're gonna God bless planning,
Yeah.
No,
I
God bless
got,
Tim.
I got one thing to show you what I think about planning.
Yeah, God bless Ray and Tim both, I mean, because
Well,
when I saw that, I go, there's not.
I'm not looking for that.
No,
What I'm saying is that, the point I'm trying to make is that when we have the right relationships and we work together with the right people, we get things done in a partnership. And we got the 90 day, well, we pretty much took the full 30 days that they gave us to advocate. Now we have 60 more days, and that's where the business is gonna really start hitting the ground. We gotta get our public comment. So let me tell you, the work is still not done. Because in, when the EIR starts coming out, given what we're gonna be submitting to the NOP, we will need to advocate for an additional 60 days on top of that, all over again.
Wow.
Because city planning has it in their mind that you can, this is the way they do their work without consideration as to the way city neighborhood councils do their work. And that's the important part.
We're not here every day like they are.
That's right. So what is gonna happen is that we're gonna have to start the process all over again when that EIR comes out. And when it comes out, we're gonna have to ask for 90 days all over again. I'll get you. We're gonna have to ask all over again for that because we're really gonna need it because the NOP was, I think, 20 pages.
Yeah.
When the EIR comes out, if it's less than 300 pages, I'll be surprised. Because it is going to be a big document and we're gonna need every single moment that we can get to work it. And we have to work it because what we said earlier, they're digging, I think if I remember correctly, 1.5 million of
tons of dirt that's gonna be relocated. And then they're gonna be bringing another 1,000,000 tons of dirt back in, clean dirt. But that dirt, when they're digging it out, is gonna be in our atmosphere, in our neighborhood, and we're gonna breathe that stuff, and we need to be able to have them be more careful about it, because it's not just gonna affect us individually, but it's gonna affect every person in our neighborhood, our young people, our kids, our babies, it's gonna affect them.
That's,
And our pets, exactly.
And if I might say, that doesn't stay just here. Sometimes the winds blow it.
all the way, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so my point is, we have an obligation as a neighborhood council to get out there in the community and make these connections so that if next month there's another project going on, that we have our constituents going out there and making the connection so that we can rely on them to be able to get the things we need properly. But we're not going out there in spite of us. We're not going out there to make sure that we show them who's boss. Because we can as a group, but you know what? You're only gonna be invited to the table once to have that discussion, because if you're fighting them, they're not gonna wanna invite you back. So we have to do it with diplomacy and tact. So that's just an example. We have to move forward doing this. We have to be out in the community.
That goes back to what Kane said about accountability.
Oh, wait,
There's some hands up.
yeah, here, and then over here.
Okay, so Lori
I
is
want to
first.
expand on what you're saying because I love it, but you're missing something in
I'm
there.
not missing a single.
Oh, yes, you are. So the thing is I thought about it and I thought, well, we've had the group coming and presenting. Heather, okay, has been coming and presenting to us. So I wrote to her and said, can you help request the extension? We've built a relationship with you. You've come to us, you've listened to us. We're supposed to be doing relationship building. And can you in our behalf? I thought that would, have a little bit of clout or whatever. And she came back and said, oh, I'll give you the name of the planner. You can talk to her. That didn't sit well with me. And of course, she sent me Kathleen King thing. And I was able to work with Kathleen King and set up a meeting last Monday, a Zoom meeting with Ray and the president of Central and the president of Coastal, where we went through and we all had different points that we were making. So my point to you, Ray, is in addition to the relationship with Tim, there's other things the neighborhood council can do. We don't just to rely on Ray or anything else. There's different avenues we have. Whether our meeting shook things up, she said she was gonna go to her bosses, whatever, we didn't have a lot of confidence, but then Tim followed up with that. So there's different angles we can come in, and what other relationships do we have besides Tim? Besides having Ray as our excellent spokesperson? So look at the whole picture, okay, and just so you know, if anybody's interested, Phillips is presenting to Coastal on Monday. And I'm gonna call her on it, like, if you want our support and we're building a strategic and intentional relationship here, okay, then this needs to be two-sided, not you just come and take our input. When we ask for support, okay, so I hope you guys will also feel the same way. If anybody's available to go to Coastal, we'll see if there's any changes and we'll see if they've got rid of artificial turf too. So,
Yeah, well, over here, here,
So going back to point number 5 on the agenda, neighborhood council, community events and participation. I would like to suggest that, every month at our meeting, we know what's going on so that we can assign, 2 to 3 people, because some of us work and travel. And then if we could also have a quarterly schedule, so especially for the big events that are coming up, for the holidays, for then the spring and Easter time events, for the summer kickoff events, so we can pre-plan who's going to be there and make sure that we're covered and that we're all there and present, so that we're not scrambling last minute, because we did a great job for National Night Out, thanks to John sending the communication, but that was last minute.
One of the problems.
I like that too.
One of the problems that they've had in the past and we've had signups. And I sent a detailed email out for the public safety asking everybody to attend. It's been published, it's been out there. I had commitments from people that were gonna be there. People didn't call, they didn't text, they just didn't show. It was a very sad showing and I was very disappointed. I was hoping, and I tried to cover it very heavily because of my back surgery and me not being able to be there. And made sure all ducks in a row, sent detailed emails, all of that. When you're elected to a position, this is part of the problem is you're not elected just to sit in a seat. You're elected to be at the events, to do the outreach, to do the communication with the stakeholders, to be active in your neighborhood council. With that, it requires a commitment and it's part of your job as your elected position. And we have a lot of people saying they're gonna be somewhere and then they don't come. They don't show. There's no courtesy saying that you aren't gonna come. It's a last minute, oh, my dog's sick or this or that and some excuse, and that's not okay. Neighborhood council events, if you say you're gonna be there, it has to be a priority. Emergencies do come up. But you have to take it seriously. If this is what you signed up to do to be an elected official, and that's what you want this to be, then it's a commitment. With what Ray was saying about Phillips 66, one of the things my husband, before he did what he did, he's an environmental lawyer. And one of the things that he's concerned about, and he has said, is our biggest problem is gonna be when they're hauling away the dirt.
Yeah, great point.
If it's secure, contained, and moving it out. Because as they drive down Gap Year, whichever way they go, they're gonna be putting toxin all through the whole community as pieces of the dirt blows out. And that is a major, major concern. One little reckless move of it not being contained as they remove it is gonna be a contamination disaster for this community.
Well, okay, so gonna go here, 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 and then I wanna say something. Go ahead.
Lots of great topics. Accountability, not only to, our neighbors, the home, but accountability to ourselves. And, you know, if this is, so I take this position serious as an elected official. You know, working parent, I have 2 kids, right? And so it's all tough and I'm an entrepreneur. I think that there should be more, team building. In how we navigate. As a crew, we're working together, we're communicating on a very high level. And we're talking about very serious issues. One of my points earlier when we were talking about, participation is that we have had some opportunities. Last Monday, I had never seen our meeting room as full. And
That's
but those, and it's not because it's just a requirement, those are also the people who are gonna fill in for us in a couple of years. Right?
And you'll find that our next few.
Let
meetings
her
are gonna be
finish.
like that. Yeah.
And so.
Thanks for the next help.
And so we're not, it's so like part of it is that we're looking at the kids as transactions. Yes, a majority of them are just getting their hours. But the other 20% of them, or even the 20% of that 20% are the people who are gonna wanna sit in the seat or work for the Red Cross, you know, one day. And that's where I think we have to take that more seriously, because some of the kids were paying attention. And they're watching how we conduct ourselves, and they're wondering why the meeting is so long. Yes, they have different attention spans, especially in this age, and we can all barbershop talk that forever. But these are the kids that we live with, and so I think that in having that, we can just as strategic as we are with the Phillips 66 and the St. Vincent St. Thomas Bridge and the Gibson, you know, there's a piece parcel of land right there that comes through, you know, the planned use. We have to put that same type of effort in grooming the kids kids and our neighbors, and that's where it comes back to outreach, and so that issue is important as well, because I don't wanna be doing this job. And I don't think it's, and again, it's a dot, dot, dot. I don't wanna be doing this job because no one else wants to do it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People should be banging down their doors to wanna be on this neighborhood council, because I agree with you, Ray. This is a well-ran and a well-organized group of people. And volunteering in other capacities and leadership. Volunteering is at an all-time low. Empathy and sympathy, we all are feeling it because we're living on the same planet. Right, but we have to, as a crew, not just as board members, but but we have to say, hey, okay, how are we going to make sure our neighbors' kids are gonna wanna come and things like that. You're a teacher, like, we have to figure out those innovative ways to do that versus just kind of, oh, well, the kids came and they left. That is unacceptable. Because they are our biggest, they're our Super Bowl night, apparently. And that's why I'm looking at it, because I've been able to see the leads. Thank you.
Right, all right. Here, just want to touch the comments.
Well, you talk about, and excuse me for what I'm gonna say. But there's 17 of us on this board. And I've been doing this for 7 years. I actually started 2 years prior because Lori got me involved with Pathways to Employment. Okay, and then I got involved into the council. I do it for the community. Because what we represent is the community. Okay, I don't care less about Los Angeles, but I do care about San Pedro. So when I started taking over later on, doing the candy cane lane, the parade, the Christmas tree, the youth, we started doing all the movie in the park, okay? Same 3 to 4 people at the booth. Where's the other 13? Okay, and it's a thing of this. If you're here to do the same thing that I'm doing, you should be out there. You want the public to know what's going on, you want stakeholders to know, well, come aboard. Because stakeholders see the same 4 faces and they figure, wow, the council's only 4 people. But we're 17 of us, okay?
Yes.
And we all should be out there, we all should be doing. If 8 of you decide to show up, that's great. I'll work an hour or 2, but when I set up and I tear down and 3 people are there with me, no, I'm sorry. You guys signed up for something to do something. And I'm, like I said, I'm not trying to be a butthead about it or anything, but when you promise to be someplace and like you said, and somebody doesn't show up, like Wednesday, when Ray goes, who else is with you? Just me, Ray, and then you and Adrian. Well, that looks bad. That looks bad on Tim, because here Tim is putting out, he's going, I got my 3 councils for San Pedro, but they're putting this on. And really, only 5 people? That would be as bad as Mayor Bass having her team, and all of a sudden 5 people show up for their,
I agree.
So that's why we're here, if I can do it, you guys have no idea. I do this, I do the 5 committees. As vice president of building administration for the Assistance League, today I had Operation School Bell started, where we give children money, because they help low-income families. I'm doing this all the way through December, every Saturday. My daughter can tell you, I don't spend enough time with them in the grant, because why? I'm out here helping, trying to do stuff for the community.
We gotta get the agenda going. Sorry.
But that's, my thing. But
Well, can I say one thing? Thank you, John, for always, keeping us abreast of everything and connecting us to go, and, I was really impressed with the police thing that we have here. There's a lot more people than.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Christina,
Really nice.
I do send out emails every year, and Ray asked me 2-3 years ago to do it. Only had 2-3 people sign, email me back.
I don't hear your yawns done.
I know. No, I just want to make sure, the same reflection. I mean, we all are sitting here saying how much, what we want to do in the community, but what is the reflection
Yeah.
of that? If we're saying that we want to advocate for our community, why are we not out there? You know, again, it's like, I started a new job, I have school, okay, I serve on another neighbor council, I have a lot of commitments, I don't want to be the only one there as well. You know, and also, for example, the students, right? I mean, what is the message we send when we're out there? How are we communicating? I think the only reason why I'm sitting here is because I was one of those 94 students getting their papers signed. And the message when I was with Central was, this is what we do, and that's how I got on board. So when we're out there, which is step one, what is step two in our communication to our stakeholders? I just want to put that out there as well.
All right, so I'll make a couple comments, try to bring this a little bit back together here. So I like what Ray started out saying about the building the relationships. So I got a quick question. You have about 60,000 people, constituents in your neighborhood council, is that what I heard?
About, yeah.
Okay, how many people voted the last election? No, I mean, what was the total number of people who came out and voted you in this position?
Not enough.
72.
72 out of 60,000.
Yeah, 72, they were always.
Oh, okay. Now, that's actually, and correct me if I'm wrong, but back in the days when I was working with a lot of the neighborhood councils, it's actually not a bad number. Right? Is that a good number?
No.
Well, we haven't had.
No excuses, no excuses. Yeah, no, but that's not the excuse. We're talking 72 out of 60,000, you know, that's where things go south. So now the next thing I want to ask about team building, about building relationships. What's your relationship with the planning department? What people who come, you guys have one-on-one talks with, or just get to know so that you guys understand each other?
No.
What people in, let's say, the trash units, people that handle all the garbage, what kind of relationship do you have with anybody in those offices? I'm not talking about the top people, but I always go for the low. Like, I like
think
the
when sustainability is.
Okay,
when
but you build
develop
those
like a
relationships,
relationship through
but you
sustain-
build those relationships so that you have a conduit somewhere, right? And that's what Ray was kind of touching on. Those conduits are very important because you bring people in sometimes on a Saturday when they're supposed to be back east on a vacation. Who was that? All right, because you have connections and because people have, I have a buy-in down here. I know you don't care about LA, but I care about the South.
Well,
I know, just easy. Because I have deep roots here, because I have a lot of years of working down here. It matters to me. All right, so this is what he's talking about. So 60,000 people, and you're gonna be representing them? So how do you outreach, or how do you find a way to meet those people? I'm gonna give you an example. I was first plucked down in 98 down in South LA, corner of Manchester and Vermont, okay? No, there's no coffee house down there.
No.
There's no place where, you could just kind of hang out, right? So I found.
There is now.
Yeah, no, there's no. I'm not talking about Starbucks. No Starbucks.
Cafes at the.
I'm talking in 98. All right. So we had one donut house that used to donate donuts to our meetings. He was cool. This guy he was a community guy. But there was no place to sit. So I found a donut shop that had a little area like this inside. And I said, okay, this is, probably about a mile and a half from where I'm supposed to be, but I'm gonna stop here 2-3 times a week just to see if I can pick up information. So for the first 6 months, no one talks to me. They're all having a good time, these little old guys that are retired, they're talking and having a good time and everything. And so I take off for a vacation, go visit my buddy back east. He got exiled in Detroit, so I went to go visit him. And, I come back after about 10 days and I sit down and and the coffee wasn't very good, by the way. Sorry, but I put a lot of milk in it. And I'm sitting down and finally this old timer walks up to me, he's looking at me. So what are you doing? I didn't even know he knew I existed. But from that point on, I started getting information. Because again, he came back, so maybe he's worth something. So I'm just throwing that out as an idea. You begin to find places. Again, I'm not saying you sit on the street corner like Lucy with a little cable, because it's not practical. But you can find places where people get to know that you're there. First of all, they have to know who you are, who you represent, and why. Right? And those relationships develop into something bigger and better. Right? And yeah, maybe not always seeing eye to eye, but one of the important things about neighborhood councils from the very beginning. And this is what we used to promote in human relations with all the councils, a majority minority report. Yeah, you guys come up with what you think is right, but what about those other people who have other ideas? They don't get heard unless you represent them. Okay, so this is what we're talking about, those one-on-one relationships. It's to get out, it's getting out of your comfort zone, right? And it is being examples. You know what? You can't go out and be a clown anywhere and everywhere, right? I can't, you as an educator, no matter what, you still represent. No matter what part of the city or the county or the Southland you're in, all right? So that is that important connection. So that maybe next time, instead of 72 people voting, you get 150, then maybe 300. And then maybe this really gets large enough that you have power. As Tony Montana would say, I have the power, right? And that's where it is. All right, and I want to introduce, we have a student here who's visiting us. You stand up and introduce yourself, please, and what school you're from.
Hi, my name is Annalie Correa, and I attend San Pedro High School.
Okay, thank you very much. This is your board members here. Nice community members. Excellent job. All right. So somebody, John, you wanted to say something? Or?
I was gonna tell you, and one of the things, and I hope Daniel will. We had problems with, this year, they didn't have the booths or anything. Okay, everything was, you gotta get it online, send it, fill it, and then, so it didn't, because a lot of people, if I'm not mistaken, they said they had problems getting, sending out the ballots and all, so they couldn't get on this website and, so that was one of the problems. It's not having the people, because we've had people, I mean, I've had where I've had 100, last time I had 110, 108 votes. She got 100 some votes, but this year was, I mean.
I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy, all right? I get it.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing this thing for many years. And I sat there trying to, we're real quick, I'll come to you real fast. In Hollywood, one of the neighborhood councils, they had 800 something people come out and vote one time. They had 4 districts. One district had 10, one district had 15, right? The great majority came from the 4th one. And that's because there was an organization busting their people in, right? So it looked really good, but who were they representing?
Yeah.
So I know, I understand. I get it. I'm not picking on that. I just want you to understand it. We know what he's talking about, though, getting out, getting people connecting, right? And hopefully it spreads out. That's an important piece. Yes, sir.
To the election part of it, just for the record, I've been on the board for 10 years and we have not had 2 elections that ran the same way.
Yeah.
And they've all been radically different from one another.
Yeah, that's.
So it's hard to sort of set a benchmark. We can there's
Yeah, no, I understand.
But then to the strength of the relationships and the work that we do, one of the first, I think maybe best lesson I've learned so far is about, I mean, the most obvious connection usually is with the council district. There are, they're kind of the next rung up the ladder, but the relationship we've had with Tim McCosker, not just in contrast with the relationship with the Boscaino's office, but the way that it's evolved over time, the way that he himself was involved in the community before he became a city council member. But it's also affected the way we've dealt with the LAPD on occasion and other state departments, is that we have to go out of our way to present ourselves as professional, essentially that we're volunteers, yes, we're, community members from the neighborhood, but we're not there just to yell at you. We are prepared to take your advice and do something with it that we essentially, we put together a group of people who are worth their time. That is, if you send a field deputy, they're not just gonna ask a bunch of dumb questions. If you come in person, you're not just gonna have a bunch of torches and pitchforks, because people are who only show up when they're angry, and they show up especially angry.
That's what usually when they show up, right?
Right, well, I mean, everybody can get a bee in their bonnet every once in a while about a particular topic, but again, to go back to our mission is that if you understand why things move slowly in the city, or why your tree can't get trimmed, or why that curb is red or instead of yellow or whatever, then at least tempers your expectations, and you know that there's a process, and maybe you or somebody else is gonna have to, paddle all the way upriver to this, park commission board or whatever it is, that actually decides the thing that you're upset about. And so I think that one of the ways we've built relationships, and again, I think Tim has more than met us halfway in terms of his commitment, if you just watch the way that he works. But for us to be able to say, hey, we have a group of people here who are gonna listen to you, we actually have a sense of how some of these things work. And that way, when we go talk to people in the community and they say, hey, how come X, Y, and Z? We can say, well, not only here's the depressing explanation of why it is, but this is the field deputy that you go speak to, or this is the thing that you need to go, so that there's more than just shutting people down with the awful truth about how it works, more than just complaining sort of aimlessly, the elected official or their representatives, about this right that we have. So it's like, we're a little better educated, and the board members who existed, the ones who brought me in, the ones who were on the board long before I showed up, kind of put Northwest at such a high level that the standard for like, what does it look like when we're writing the impact statement, or what does it look like when we have, a town hall or a special meeting or one ad hoc committee, whatever it is that it sort of, it commands respect as opposed to demanding attention. Where, somebody comes and goes, oh, okay, well, at least a couple of people around this table have done, some significant amount of homework. It's like, you can't be in the room with Pat, Diane, and Dave, or with Ray, or with Lori, and just kind of, they're going to know if you're telling them something, legitimate or not. And so I think they come into the room expecting that we, are worth the effort, and also to kind of, that we're gonna ask them questions that are gonna need some.
Well, you said something earlier about knowing what the different departments do. So when they had the charter went through 20-something years ago, we in our department had a book that broke down each department, and we had to go through and learn what each department did. Who picks up dead animals?
The animal services,
No.
or no sanitation.
But people call, the wrong department all the time. Like, aren't you supposed to do that? And so it's simple. But what was initially thought was that you are the ones that were gonna know a lot of this information. So when somebody walks in, a new student, hey, how do I get my tree trimmed? Because they haven't trimmed. Well, there's a budget, and there's this, and there's that, but you know how to do it. That's very good. That's what part of your work was supposed to be. Have they provided you with all that information? Probably not. So I'm just throwing that out. That's very important. And I hear what you're saying. Two, respect is earned, right? Not just automatic. And the work that he's been doing, you guys have been doing, you show up, like you're saying, you show up, emergency preparedness. We just had a huge major fire over my neighborhood. People should be turning out by the millions, and neighborhood council should be at the forefront of that.
Yep.
All right, so this is a way that you garner that respect, and like you said, then you build relationships with these different emergency preparedness people. That's very, very important, right? Coming to talking about Code 66, Jane Jacobs, Jane Jacobs, the decline and rise of the great American cities. Your husband probably knows this book inside and out. It is the most important book of urban planning ever written. And it could be potentially helpful to you down here a lot with all the stuff that you guys have around here. And we're talking about toxic waste zones and all this. Jane Jacobs was at the forefront of that. It's a great book. You should take a look at that. And then Daniel, you have something you want to put up?
Yeah, I just wanted to just chime in. I think in addition to you being elected volunteer, you all are organized as well. And I think that falls short. It falls short in my role, but I identify it because I believe our department is one of the most community-based in the city. That's right. And it kind of almost operates nonprofit-ish, if you will. I mean, I have that experience. That's why I relate to it that way. And so there's a lot of my work where I have to realize, I try to, in the boundaries of my authority, I try to make sure I'm doing right by city guidelines. But some of this work really calls for me to be an organizer outside of the city, meaning that even though in my city capacity, I have to connect. I have to talk to you. Not only that, I have to go do some recruitment for you all as well, because we want to make sure seats are filled, right? And so that's an additional hat that you all wear that you may not be aware of. I think the complexity around it is that you all are human. Again, I like to say we do come from day-to-day lives, so I do my best to try to understand that for myself. Like, I wouldn't want you all to overexert yourselves at all, right? But I would love to see you all do the work, and support you with the work. And then lastly, I would say, I'm glad you brought up the various departments and identifying who does what, like who's and what's what. That's what I kind of call it. It is critical that you know, or think, no one knows who you are, right? 25 years, to be real with it. Because that's how I'm real with it with myself. 25 years, staff turnover, departments just don't know. I would love to see other departments show up to you all's meetings, neighborhood council meetings that night as well. Because do they have the staff capacity for that? Like, they don't even think that they should have somebody probably available for 2 hours that can stay. For you all, right? But I say that because we're talking about relationship building, and sooner or later, with the right conversations, the right support, not only just council members, and remember, the mayor's office and the council office alone is your bosses like they are mine. So never forget that, right? And then also, it's okay to have gripe with your bosses, right? Because we all workers and we have gripe with our bosses at times. So just never forget that when it comes down to decision making. But my point is, as you continue to build these relationships with various departments, take the time and opportunity to make sure they know not just what Northwest San Pedro is, but the neighborhood council system. So then when we do have our elections, there's no question that any city department has put that in their newsletter, run for a neighborhood council throughout the city, let alone the specific location, you know what I mean? And that's something I've been trying to converse with my neighborhood councils about. I can do it at a staff capacity with done and try to, and that's where one of my roles I'm taking on this year with our awareness and engagement division is try to put together presentations that I can, start just listing out departments and go one by one. Who wants this information? Because this exists, but I can't do that alone. It's gonna take you all reaching out to the departments to say, hey, we are part of the neighborhood council. This is more specifically our neighborhood council. Can you all come out and do a presentation? And then I'll wrap up and say, at Harbor Gateway South, the Emergency Preparedness Department just came out and did a presentation for them because they requested it in response to the Jones factory out here. And I thought that was great because it was a quick turnaround about emergency preparedness, but also the things that you all are bringing up about toxic soil and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
So Harbor Gateway, I didn't know. I was like, I'm gonna support y'all, but they did it. So EMD came out, but that's still a longer conversation to develop a plan around that if something was to happen in terms of those chemicals right into the air. But I share that to say, emergency preparedness. I'll wrap up by saying, please remember, if 25 years, your neighbor don't even know what the heck you're doing or what the neighborhood council system is, please believe after 25 years, there is somebody in City Hall that is my colleague that don't know who the heck y'all are and what my department does.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to work together to get that information out. That's not just a Daniel thing or a Dunn thing or a you all thing. We collectively have to let people know that neighborhood councils do exist and we're here to support, or we're here to advise, because you all haven't brought that up, right? What does it mean to be an advisor to city departments? But that's all I have to say.
Well, he segued, I had two last things I wanted to say, and that was about organizing. That's our work. County and the city was essentially doing organizing, okay? Helping folks organize themselves, helping them do. That's a little bit of what your work is. And it is, like he was touching on, the dream 25 years ago was you're gonna be the place that we're gonna, and this, I'm just gonna be kind of brutal about this, where, and this was said at meetings, we're gonna get those bureaucrats to understand what's going on in the neighborhoods. And we're gonna get the neighborhoods heard from. Not just
Conduit.
a neighbor, neighborhoods.
So you're a conduit.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you brought something up and I want to throw this out fast. So one of the neighborhood councils that was trying to formulate in Hollywood, it was getting beat down because fortunately, the bureaucrats, and I won't say what organization, but the Dunn board was kind of favoring one group over all the others that were there. And so, you know, they were still kind of disheveled. You didn't know what they did. This was great. we call them the three viejos, these three old guys are the ones that started it. They got up in one of the meetings and said, we're gonna have a barbecue. We want you to bring your family, your kids, your grandkids. Come to my house, and we're not gonna talk about neighborhood council stuff. Okay? So the day comes, they had great food out, everything was awesome, it was packed with people. And then one of the old guys gets up, oh, by the way, if you need to talk about this, Andrew and Gary are gonna go in the kitchen. I'm like, what? I didn't eat anything. I sat all freaking time in the kitchen, talking stuff that other people wanted to talk about, had to get it off their chest. But that built a cohesive group of people. So when you're talking about getting those opportunities, just kind of get to know each other, right? The team build. Not necessarily do this work, but team build. I think that's a great motion.
We really need to move the agenda.
Yeah, sorry.
Because I really want to get everybody out of here by 4. Okay, so let's work toward the.
Okay. So go ahead, one last
My
one.
point was is that, if we fail Tim in the emergency preparedness team, because that was a heavy lift, and I know that the community wanted that post fires. How, as we're at a retreat, and I know we're always short on time, how do we ensure that that doesn't happen again? Versus just kind of sweeping it under the rug, or it's just the way it is, because 5 people for that type of effort in this peninsula, as we all know, we're just waiting for the next situation.
That's where number 6
The answer is,
right?
get
People
involved.
show up
Yeah.
and get involved.
Show up and get involved.
And, you know, I love you, John.
Yeah.
And it is not just getting involved, because everybody knew about it.
Accountability.
You see what I'm saying? We all knew about the fires, right? So this is not like it's a, and I know this is not a cat in the tree situation, right? What I'm saying is that, and again, both issues are important, but my point is that why weren't people there is the question that we have to ask each other.
Because they think somebody else is gonna be there and account for it instead of them.
Yeah. Oh, number 6 is gonna take us into that other discussion, so let's go in there. So, Ray?
It's gonna help us get into that frame of mind. Number 6 is, what was it?
Proposed committees.
Proposed committee, liaisons and representatives, committees and all that. Look, we have committees that are already in place. I was hoping that at some point we could have conversations to figure out if these committees are still relevant. Every single one of them.
Yes.
However,
Number 7.
we're running out of time.
Yeah.
But this is what I need to do. This is what I'm gonna suggest. I have talked to some people about taking responsibility for some of these, committees. Some of the same people, some new people. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run down the list that I've spoken to the people. I'm gonna rely on those individuals to come back. Get their committees going, get their dates going, and talk about relevance. If this is something that really needs to continue to happen, as far as the committee is concerned. And I'm gonna say, every single one of these committees, I think they were important, my personal opinion. But you know what? It doesn't matter what I think, it matters what you all think and how you're going to make it work. So I'm gonna start from the top. Budget and Finance, Melanie, you have been the chair on that.
Mhm.
Do you want to continue to do that?
Right.
Okay. No, she doesn't have to. I mean, she can say no and we'll find someone else to do it. Well. So here is where we can start thinking a little bit different. We can say, no, no one else wants to do that. But it isn't until we stretch ourselves to
Yeah.
make sure that we can get.
Well, normally the treasurer's the one that does the chair.
So. Bylaws and elections, that was me, and guess what? I don't wanna do it. Okay, but someone else did volunteer to do it. 3 guesses,
Adrian.
Yes, there you go. Good for Adrian. I really appreciate Adrian. Community issues. John. Barbera.
Dan still busy?
No, let me ask. I'm gonna ask John because John and Dan work in partnership. John, are you still willing to lead it?
Yes.
And are you going to continue to bring Dan along with this?
Yes.
Okay. So we got John and Dan still doing community issues.
Community issues is brought together with public safety.
This is why I'm saying. Dan and John could decide that we're gonna combine with something else, whatever that might be, but I think it's up to them to come up with that plan. And put it in place, so.
That would be a good idea, just combine the two committees.
No, we're not having that conversation now, because we're running out of time. Okay? Yes, please, and I'm gonna hold you guys on that.
Just makes more sense.
Executive committee. Now, that committee is taken up by those in the people, you know, in the leadership capacity of the neighborhood council, so. Vic, you're still okay for it, yes?
Yeah.
Chris? Is that a yes? Yeah, right. Melanie?
Yes.
And me? Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna go back to the five. While I'm sitting with my lunch, I step down to the issues for a minute, so I don't have some. And I had that, okay,
No, that's a conversation you have with, among yourself. No, that's absolutely fine.
Okay.
Yeah, but let me finish with this. Planning and land use, we have had, planning and land use and port, they combine. Right now, our planning and land use people have been traveling a lot because they're enjoying their retirement. You know, which is great. I wish I could be them. I don't wanna be with them, I would just want.
I'm glad you clarified that.
And the port, is with, Thomas, and he's also working on a sabbatical this year, so he's gonna be a little bit absent. So, Kane, are you willing to take the leadership on that and get it and pull it together and make it work?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
Environment and sustainability. Christina. Do you want to take leadership of that?
I will step up, yes.
Thank you so much. Public safety, Melanie,
Yep,
you're gonna continue, right?
yep.
Okay, thank you. Youth and outreach. I have Chris and John co-chairing. Sirs?
Yes.
Yes from Chris.
Yes.
Yes from John. And then the last one, which is, I think it's a very great, honestly, a very great resource in our community. I'd love to hear more about it. I'd love to be able to see how we might be able to gauge and support it. It's our ad hoc committee on the Science Center. And I'll give you three guesses who might be. Vic, would you still be,
Of course.
okay, great. So that's what we have in front of us. Now, here's your responsibility as leaders in these community, in these, items. You have to reinforce who's gonna be in your committee and get them, outreach to them. Do the outreach, have the conversation, and make sure they're in agreement to stay in that committee.
Quick question.
Yes.
Going back to the planning and land use, does that mean we are shifting Diana and Thomas as co-chairs to Kane only?
Kane only
As
at
the
this particular point,
Okay.
because he's the stable, individual here.
You're voting on that.
You're on.
It's a lot of pressure.
But that puts a lot of responsibility on you.
Yeah, I mean, land use is.
I just want to make sure how to list it.
Yeah. And that's a lot of responsibility. And, you know, we'll have that conversation to talk a little bit more about it. If you have a question, I'll answer real
I
quick.
have a question, within this awesome culture, stable culture,
I feel like I'm being manipulated, but go ahead.
Right.
Just say yes.
no, it's how do we take it further, because we know the responsibilities, right? How do we grow the culture where people want to join a committee where motions are getting moved, people are attending.
Well, okay, I like the question. But here is where it actually comes right back to that person who's leading us. It's your responsibility to get that work done. It's your responsibility to go back into that committee and formulate the job of that committee, because I'll use one, example. Our Environment and Sustainability Committee, we would get topics that were so far over our heads, it really scared people into getting involved. They were talking about the ionosphere and how it was gathering ions, that are being reflected out into the stratosphere and,
String theory.
what was really worse is when the ozone layer was in. And so it came to answer your question. You know, to make it more relevant to the people who live here, who have to deal with the polluted air from the port, the potential polluted air that's gonna happen out of, Phillips 66. Maybe even the closure of the Vincent Thomas Bridge and how that's gonna affect our streets and our living conditions and things like that. That's all important. So you, as leaders, are the ones who are gonna develop the direction in which you're gonna go. And you're gonna think it and get your people involved with it. And here's the other thing, it's gonna kind of touch on something else that we're talking about. Every one of you as neighborhood council, participants, you are required by the bylaws to join at least one committee and participate in them. You are required. So please take that into consideration and please make it a commitment that you're gonna be involved with it, because without you, we got nothing. Lori has something to say, and I haven't touched the liaisons.
That's okay, that's fine. If the chairs would publish the days of the month that they're meeting and the times, and whether they're in person or they're virtual, that, and also reach out to your committee to get an agenda item. But
It's
more
on the
importantly,
website.
okay, well, forget that. Okay, the website's one thing,
It's also on.
but social media and other things, okay? If you have an interesting presentation coming up at your committee, okay? If the work's done at the committee level, like our president said, then get people interested. We're gonna be talking about Phillips 66, Vincent Thomas Bridge, the ionosphere, whatever. Whatever it is, get the interest, because while we want everybody on the board to be on the committees, we need more than the board. We need stakeholders on the committee. So you'll have to go over something they're interested in. So if it's environmental, go to a group who's interested in environmental and let them know what you're gonna be talking about and get them involved. So think of outside the box. I know when I was outreach chair, I begged the committee chairs to tell me in advance, are you having a presentation? So we can use all means of notification to try and reach the public. There's, besides our Facebook page, there's bigger pages, okay, social media. So think outside the box so we get more people involved, and these become future board members too.
Very good point.
Exactly. Thank you.
Ray?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
So for those that are newer, are the dates and times, like third Tuesday at 6:30, are those preset?
You decide.
They are preset as much as they are today.
Okay.
You being the leader, if it makes sense to change it, fine.
Okay.
And our website will reflect it.
I can help you with that.
Wait, hold on. We're kind
Maybe
of
the
talking
same night
over
as
each other.
another committee.
So, good point, and not just, don't have it on the same night as another committee is doing it.
Go there and here, okay? Oh, go ahead.
Part, do we have to, how do we file to have a room for or maybe this is a one-off?
That's what I was gonna
Okay,
Yeah.
and then also how do we get, a hold of the current members.
I can.
So Bishop, I'll let you all handle. I was gonna speak on meeting locations. That's a great segue for you all to meet in various locations in the community.
Yep.
There's a kind of it's something that always has to be fleshed out. There's paperwork involved. The paperwork involved normally, if there's a private facility, it requires ADA accessibility, going through this and that, contract with building and safety from city clerk's office and city attorneys. That's what you wanna do, you can go that route as well. What I mean by that is private facilities that aren't necessarily public, such as this location we are in today. It's a little bit more easier because it's a city facility and they're like, they have to have ADA accessibility here, right? So it's the city. So it's easier to do these type of spaces, libraries, et cetera, et cetera. However, if there's other multiple locations that are private, you've had a conversation with them and you know they're gonna sign off on, because I think it's the insurance part that sometimes gets focused. Whenever you have a meeting, it is now a city official meeting. So you wanna cross your Ts and dot your Is, right? So if you have other private locations that are in mind, let me know so I can send you the paperwork and support you with the ADA assessment. The contract.
Meetings right now.
Daniel,
Okay.
Daniel, just
Well-
to add to that, I've already done all the work for that for Pet Park. That's all been done
Well,
already for meetings.
well, the reason
So
why.
she can meet in the community rooms.
She might wanna meet somewhere else. That's kind of what
You can meet-
kind of why I'm stating
Daniel,
that.
you can meet at City Hall, we use 452 all.
That's
all
how-
the-
You know,
all-
that-
Hold on.
So,
He's talking about you wanna do it, take it off.
I got y'all. The reason why I'm sharing the information is because to keep it 100, the Brown Act says publicly, like notify the public, give them the time and let them know where you're gonna be at, right? So, but the conditions we have to support you all is you can't just up and meet somewhere because you have to have that contract or that agreement with that
Yeah.
location. But by all means, the state law just says, as long as you notify and do notice and people know, meet. But I'm saying that's an opportunity to continue to build the relationships in the community. I know you all have your locations, that's great, but say it might be, a location where it's more closer, the Taylor 66 conversation, there might be a closer community to that, you might, within your boundaries, you might wanna meet there. Also, the conversation about meeting outside of your boundaries, you can meet outside of your boundaries. I think the question more so is, why would you do that? But I say it as if you don't have a location in which you all do, I always recommend meeting as close to your boundaries as possible, because your main goal is to reach the people within the community, right? And so that conversation always comes up a lot as well. You're not trying to meet 5 miles outside of your primary location to 10, 20 miles. That's ridiculous, right? But I share that again because there might be a community center or something outside of where you all normally meet that might be more vital to get constituent input for said project that you all are working on. And so that's the process that you would need if there's other locations.
Does a disability still have the booklet that breaks all of that down?
So it's not a booklet now, there's an online form and they updated the information for it, so I
Okay,
have.
because we used to have that in our office. And real quick, I have facilitated meetings for council members in people's backyard. So that's kind of what we're talking about here too.
And then thank you for
It was
making it
very-
easier for you all.
Yeah.
Thank you, because I heard you loud and clear, like, we got this covered already. Thank you for having it covered, just if you wanted to meet, like I said, somewhere outside of the normal location. There's a process and we can work together.
And this reason in particular was around homelessness, that was down the street, so that's why we did it. But
Okay, for the new and continuing chairs, as far as the membership goes, what is currently on the list you have is the current list of members in each committee as I know them. For the ones who were marked as chairs and are now not, I'm gonna move them down to members. And then if that changes, that's between, you and your committee to decide, who stays, who goes, and if there are any additions and somebody else who's not in a committee that's here wants to join a committee, they can do that, whatever. When you decide if you want to change a meeting time and date or day, let me know and I will make sure that gets updated on the webpage and other places. Well, that's typically where it gets updated and on this list here. As far as meeting locations, there is in person, but don't forget you also have Zoom as a possibility. So if you want to use Zoom, you can use Zoom as well. And generally, we not prohibited, but generally, we don't typically have meetings on Fridays. Or I think would be the obvious reason, but if that's your best day for your committee, you know, that's up to you.
All right, right. So, real quick, also, I wanted to just talk about, we have liaisons that we have in place. Lori, homelessness liaison, are you still open to?
Does somebody else want to do it? I'd be honored to continue.
Thank you. Animal shelter liaison, Angela?
No.
No,
me.
Christina.
Christina.
That's how come it says that?
That's,
Because
that's fixed on it.
you're not looking at the list I sent you, huh?
No, because I got this right off the whatever.
Is that on the webpage?
On the webpage.
Okay, sounds like I need to,
Mine says Christina.
Mine says.
No, he's not.
No, I'm talking about the website.
the webpage has not been updated.
Which is the point that I was going to make.
None of that is
We
updated.
really need to get our webpage updated. So, Angela, I was just doing that for effect because I know that we're different. Christina?
Maybe nervous, so.
It's okay.
Yes, I'd like to.
You're good?
Yes.
Okay. LA, Department of Water and Power is Dan. We have a copy now, so I think we need to.
Somebody else.
He's not, I don't even think he knows.
You're gonna ask him, but I mean, he has.
At least he has done the way he does, yeah.
So I'm gonna take him, we're gonna take him off, and if someone wants to do DWP, please.
Because it's part of, environment and sustainability, and I would
It
love to
might
work with
be.
them.
For public safety.
Can
For
I,
public safety, you know, either one, so.
Okay, let's finish.
can I volunteer myself for Department of Water and, Department of
You
Water?
can absolutely do that.
Are you requiring reports from the liaisons?
Would there would be a requirement of for, you know, at least contacting them and establishing a report and being available in case those individuals, you know, there is issues with DWP, because I could talk to you about our electricity bill.
Yeah.
I can, yeah, I'm already
Yeah, let's get in on that too.
developing a relationship and.
All right, so thank you for taking on DWP. Public Works Liaison, Chris?
I haven't used it, and it seems to me, what I just said.
Sounds like a no.
Well. Short answer, no, but, it seems like maybe within the committees, there's an automatic level of coverage that might be like,
Yeah, what is?
when, Public Works, possibly, like maybe a member of planning and land use might want to be the Public Works liaison, for instance.
Yeah.
Would
There's an opportunity for the,
I can, that's sort of, you going from something, and, yeah, that would be something that would be well.
and it would be like, you'd almost, you know, it'd be an easier way to populate the report, because again, it's never come up that there's been an incident or whatever action that ending report.
So in my hearing, Kane says that we can put your name here instead of Chris.
That was exactly my question.
And which particular liaison?
This is gonna be Public Works liaison,
Yeah, that makes sense.
okay?
Like a 10-page report.
Yeah.
LA Film Liaison,
Cynthia.
yes?
So what are you doing with that? Do you contact them regularly? Do they give you updates?
Was that, I'm sorry?
No, the film liaison. Are you it, Cynthia?
Yes.
No, I'm just asking, what does that role encompass?
You know, I appreciate the question, but I really need to get through this, so we can talk about that later, okay? Sustainability Alliance Liaison, that was Gwen, it was part of her.
Should I?
Should
She's not
you?
here, I don't.
That requires, Christina, what it will require though with the Sustainability Alliance is becoming a member of Sustainability Alliance and attending.
I might be in.
Would we have a member? We would have to appoint.
We have to appoint.
We have to.
her.
So are you saying?
I mean, only because Christina's just taken on like 5
No,
roles.
I know.
And with my
I was just gonna
commission,
look up and see when their meeting is.
okay,
Second Sunday.
I like.
online.
Online.
Oh, it's online.
Yeah, it's on Zoom.
Oh.
If you wanna do it,
Travel for work.
yeah.
I'm saying I'm familiar with that particular, association.
So you could, I mean, you could have a main and an alternate.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have
Can
alternate.
we be co?
You can be called.
No, it's not.
You would have to join your committee then.
I would join your committee and I would support you as you, as the liaison. So that you know that there's another person that is aware of the issues.
Christina, I'm gonna put your name next to, sustainability.
And an
Or
alternate.
shall we do King as part of?
Kane was just saying he wanted.
No, I would like to support.
So
Oh, I see.
you primary him over.
Okay.
So,
Or co.
Yes.
or co.
I don't think they'll let you do co,
Okay.
but you can do an
Primary and
alternate.
alternate.
Okay, no, they won't let you do co.
They won't let you do a co.
No for it. Okay, so, Christina, I mean, that's all. you get
Yeah,
them.
it makes sense though.
Okay.
And I think they all work together. And I already have ideas to integrate it.
The last one is data liaison. We got Gwen, Vic, and Chris. Gwen has asked to be removed,
Yeah.
so it's Vic and Chris.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, yes.
I think we haven't done anything ever, so do we?
yeah, well, again, when, if and when the opportunity arises, do whatever. You'd like to say, what is it?
When I see data, I kind of picture, I'm picturing our website.
No, that's not,
That's more of an outreach thing, maybe.
Yeah.
yeah, website is not.
Okay, so that takes care of that. Let's move on to agenda item number 7.
I'm gonna do the rest of that.
Oh.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. I got them too.
Just ask.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Agenda item number 7, bylaws and standing rules. Vic is gonna take on this part, and it's mostly be aware, because this is the stuff we're being held accountable for. Right, because that is the way, kind of leading into ourselves.
Ask a quick question, are all these in your bylaws?
Yes,
Yes,
and you see the section that they're in.
if you look at the agenda, the text, the block text is directly quoted from the bylaws and standing rules. Okay, well, the first part that's shown there is, here are our standing committees. And I don't know if you wanted to go into any of the things that are listed, join a committee, meet at least month.
No, we're gonna let
We already talked about
leads
that.
to
Okay.
develop or
Alright.
keep the same.
All right, well, you put that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so really. Yeah, for number 7, that's you, not me. I'm number 8.
Oh, no.
I just saw it.
What I said is that on 7, we got the people who are going to lead, and they're gonna be developing and coming back.
Okay.
So
So we're on to 8 then.
we're on with that.
Question.
Yeah.
On the appointments of others Northwest and people neighborhood positions, I noticed that the business, that's a liaison or?
That's a seat.
Okay, that's a seat. Versus.
No, that's business representative, to be on the name of the company.
Yeah, but that's a seat, that's not.
That's right, that's what is, it was clarity, so.
Okay.
I think there was,
Okay. So we're on to number 8.
Melanie, we need to. Go ahead.
Okay, first item is the absences, in the bylaws. Key thing here is, a couple key things. One, if you are unexcused for 2 meetings, then you are in danger of possibly being removed from the board. Not automatic, but is a possibility. That's one criteria you can buy. And generally, you pretty much have to notify either Ray as the president or me as the secretary that you're not going to attend to get an excused absence. If you don't show up and nobody knows where you are or anything, then that would be considered an unexcused absence.
I do have a question. Would it be possible, like, can I just let you know, like, yeah, it's running like maybe 15 minutes later, some people?
Yeah. That's fine.
The communication really is important.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the key is the communication, like, if somebody doesn't show up, but, you know, sometimes you'll see us ask, well, you heard from this person.
Yeah,
you heard-"
okay, yeah.
If we don't know, then they get marked down excused. And the last sentence there is also a key thing. Absences shall be recorded in board meeting minutes and shall reflect whether or not they are excused or unexcused. So later on, we'll see that goes for committee as well. You don't just say absent, you need to get the character of the absence. Is it unexcused or excused? And that should be reflected in the minutes of the committee meeting and in this paragraph. Board meeting. Next item, training. As you know, we've had some issues with people not completing their training on time, or after it was expired. And we have 5 trainings that have to be completed to vote on, in particular, funding matters. But from what Daniel said at the last board meeting, it may be coming up that, you know, once, or actually that goes into the next paragraph about the 60-day grace period. Right now we have 60 days. That is not meant to be a slack period. It is meant to be a grace period. Don't wait 60 days after the training expires to do it. That is, I think the way you put it, life happens and something comes up, and that gives you a chance to do it after your training expires. Or in the case of brand new board members from when your appointment. And if you go past that time, then you lose complete ability to act as a board member until that training gets completed. Are you gonna say something?
There was a conversation going on.
Oh. So we'll have to see what happens when the next, when Dunn, looks at bylaws after this period that ends, April of next year, to see if they remove any type of grace period, because it sounds like they might be. And the key with this is looking at the web page that's, what I call the training page, that is online for our council. Every council has one that has the expiration dates of when your training expires. And don't expect anything from Cornerstone to tell you it's expired or it is coming up for expiration. You've got to look at that yourself. And you've got to look at this page yourself to find out, to at least verify when your expiration is and make sure it's correct, because they don't always update it correctly or in a timely manner, as some of the financial officers have found in the past. We've had to hassle them to get it corrected. So there's no automated notification that, hey, your training's coming up for expiration, it's been 2 years. That is up to each person to keep track of that and update it when necessary. On to C, committee meetings. Main thing here is, again, like I mentioned with the first item, needs to be a written record of committee meetings, even if there is no, voting taking place. If you had a meeting, you need to have minutes, and it needs to include attendance and, note whether it is excused or unexcused. And D, this has been a particular problem lately over the last couple months. The requirement is for any Brown Acton meeting, we have to post the agenda for a regular meeting 72 hours in advance, and it gives some other timeframes there. not only online, but it must be posted out here on the bulletin board outside this room, around the corner from the elevator. At the same time, you know, or around the same time, but 72 hours in advance, as we do with the ones we send to NC support and NC web posting. The only ones I have seen posted up there the last couple of months have been the ones I put up there for the board meeting and the executive committee meeting. I haven't seen any for any other committee meetings, and I know they've taken place, which is technically a violation of the Brown Act. So we gotta make sure that we put them in both places, so people who possibly don't have access to a computer still know where to go to see the agenda. And then I think they can take that up to the front desk and get copies made if they need to. But that is, you know, usually that hasn't been a problem, but the last couple months, it's been very lacking.
The land planning use and port committee has been posting. What I will do is I'll post it on the glass on the door.
No, there's a bulletin board around the corner from the elevator. There's a bench. It's right in front of it.
Okay.
That is where it needs to get posted.
Oh, okay. If the office is open.
No, this is in the lobby,
The lobby, well, I don't.
I mean, you come in the front door of LA, of the building.
Oh, well, maybe because I'm coming after hours. So, there's not that.
Yeah, I think the door is locked at 8.
What is?
According to the sign on the door, it looks like it's locked at 8.
Yeah, it is now.
Yeah, I would not put it on their door because they probably are just gonna take it off. So, I mean, you don't have to do it as long as the chair makes sure that it gets done.
Yeah, no, it's.
So if somebody else can do it because you can't do it till after hours, then
I'll talk to my staff.
And another key thing that I haven't seen is for the standing meetings, there's a regular day and time of the meeting. If you're not gonna have a meeting and it gets canceled for whatever reason, the cancellation notice also needs to get posted in the same way, both online and up here, you know, the hard copy and on the board. Again, I've seen some one or the other, some none. Both of them have to get done because otherwise people are, you know, stakeholders may think there's gonna be a meeting and there's not because it got canceled, but they don't know it because the wasn't posted. So all of that is part of the requirements for our meetings. Let's see, committee participation, we already got, all committee members must be on at least one committee. Not sure how much of this we need to go into in detail.
So maybe just a reminder,
Okay,
the language on each one of these bylaws is here on the agenda. Please read it to get more detail out of it. Okay, we're just getting the highlights of each item.
yeah, I think other than, I think the first three, under the committee participation and the standing rules is pretty much common, quote unquote common sense. Number 4, just to reiterate, again, 2 unexcused absences. It puts somebody in danger of being removed from the committee, just like for the board, same type of thing. Speaker time limits, generally it's 2 minutes, but the presiding, per person, but the presiding officer can change that if necessary. They can also put a overall total time limit for public comment and speaking if necessary. I know generally we try not to do that last one, but sometimes we probably should try to stand by that 2 minutes. And liaisons, not anything really in particular to go over, but you know, read it and make sure you understand for those who are liaisons, the rules behind that. Picking up?
quick enough. Item number 9, action items, goals and objective setting. I think I'm gonna just put the biggest goal that we have in front of us is with the people who are taking leadership roles in our committees to make sure that you get members in your committee, which means that it could be the very same thing. You wanna say something?
Okay. So, it should be.
Sorry.
I have one addition to the.
Oh, yeah, okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, in addition to the previous section, especially for people who may be new to the chairing role, when you send your agendas to be posted online, you send them to the NC web hosting email address that gets it put to our webpage. Also send it to the NC support email address that gets it to done, and they post it in a more central location to the community. If you don't know either of those email addresses, let me know and I will send them to you. But those are the parts that, as far as the electronic version, what needs to get sent at least 72 hours in advance. If you have supporting documentation that needs to be posted, that only needs to go to the NC web posting email address to go on our webpage. Like, say your committee is gonna look at a letter, approving a letter of CIS, and you want to put the current draft so everybody can see it ahead of time, that you would send to NC web posting only. And for a board agenda, the supporting documentation would go to NC web posting. The agenda wording only, like, what the agenda item should be on the board agenda, send that to me. But not the supporting documentation. I don't need the supporting documentation. All I need is what is actually gonna go on the agenda.
As far as the minutes go, because I've noticed a problem with our committee minutes the last few meetings, those go to the web posting?
Those go to NC web posting only. Those in terms of the board meeting, that would be considered a supporting documentation.
Okay. I don't know, I'll double check our setting them.
Okay, that's all.
Next item, well, we started number 9. I'm just gonna hit it just so that we can just get through it as quickly as possible. The biggest item is the leadership in our committees. Make sure you get your committees going. Everyone needs to join the committee. And don't be shy about joining maybe more than one. Get your dates set and they're consistent. Make sure that you meet regularly. Identify those things that you want to maybe accomplish at the end of the year. There are things that happen that we could say, we're going to address this particular item, or the commitment that we're making is that we will meet, 12 out of 12 times that we're obligated to meet once a month. Whatever it is that you want, set goals for yourself, set goals for your committees, so that we can make sure that at the end of the whole year that we've actually accomplished stuff. And I'm not saying that because we haven't, because I think we accomplished a lot. I think we've really hit all the high spots in our community. But I think something that we can do better is getting back out of it. So think about that, as what you do this coming year. It's really important that we continue that type of work, because I hate to say it, we know who we are, but I think it was Daniel who said it. Do our neighbors know who we are? Get them to understand and help them from, to be able to move their specific problem, down the line. I have a neighbor who has a tree that's just uprooting all the the sidewalks. And right next to her, she has a person who is, you know, disabled, walking in a walker and can't walk because the sidewalk won't let him walk. Been trying to navigate that for a while, and but it's something that, hey, it's like, this is a project that I'm not gonna let go of, type thing. I mean, I'm just using that as an example. Just get involved, get yourselves in that position to lead and make sure that everyone has a better idea of who we are as a neighborhood council, and recruit. The best way to get people to join our neighborhood councils is to get them into a committee. That is just so important to be able to get them in a committee.
Maybe without being on the council.
They can get in a committee without being, yes, absolutely, that's the other, you all people.
No, I know, but I didn't know like someone else externally.
Yes.
Any stakeholder can be on committee, stakeholder.
Yeah, the committee should.
And that's a good question, actually.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Yes. Lori.
If I could just make a suggestion, it's a suggestion, that committees consider being a little more structured and professional and consider Robert's rules. Almost any committee meeting I go to, it's extremely, I'll use your expression, loosey-goosey. And I think you need a level of professionalism, people raising their hand, people not talking over each other. Think of it as a real meeting, but for some reason committees act like this is a social thing and they're not very structured. The other thing I'm just gonna point out at the board meetings, to consider reducing the use of your cell phone during the meeting. The optics for us sitting out in the audience is a couple of things. One, they're playing with Spider Solitaire like I was doing. Two, you could be texting each other and telling each other how to vote on something, which Young is really frowns upon that. The optic of that is really bad. If you needed to, like they're talking about something, you wanna look something up. I've done that in the meetings, you know, that's okay, but the optics is like, they're not listening, they're just scrolling, especially when you see doing this. So just think about it when you're at the board meeting to try and reduce the use of cell phone, just a suggestion.
Thank you. That's good.
As I'm using,
Yes, ma'am.
as I'm using mine, I'm trying to find on our website where to find out where our, you said it's on the website to find out when our trainings are due. I cannot find it.
Oh, not our website.
Your first Cornerstone.
Your
On Cornerstone. Oh, I thought it said,
Oh, no,
because
no.
a couple of them have it listed.
No, which Power
Empower LA does.
Yeah, but I can't find it on Empower.
I'll show you.
Okay.
I'll show you. I'll show you where to
Yes,
live.
let's do that stuff offline. And I swear I saw Candy Crush on your screen right now.
Yeah, sure. Look, I don't have any games on my phone. Would you like to look at my phone? I have absolutely no games on it because I do not play games.
No, I don't, then I don't wanna get it.
I have absolutely none.
So, with that said, we've come pretty much to the end of the meeting. Gary, if you wanna share any last words, or how, you know, you can tell everybody how great.
You're
marvelous.
Or you can just tell them how great I did.
Well, you did a hell of a job. Yes.
Is your arm reach?
So, I'm gonna throw something that I just thought of now. You're talking about being more professional and raising your hands. Early on in 2002, 3, 4, one of the most important things was for the meetings, because they got pretty, they were large and kind of burly, people all over the place. I hope this happens to you. And you get to a point where you have so many people coming in, you need a greeter and you have ground rules. And the ground rules worked very well early in the Wild West days of council, because people could see, supposed to raise your hands. Of course, it helps me have a facilitator that stats people, so, because there's nothing worse than someone's out there going, they're not listening.
Yeah.
Right? And very little gets done that way. So, you know, one of these days, I hope you have to have ground rules, because that means you have a lot of people coming in. Right? And you guys are very, use a term, some people like you, civilized. In the indigenous community, sometimes we go like, what does that mean? But no, you're civil with one another, and that's very important. Throughout our US history, we've had times where people are not civil to one another. And that leads to bad discourse, or as I like to say, bad juju. All right, so I think that you guys did a very good job today. You got a lot done, right? That's another thing. You've accomplished stuff. There are, and I just received a request to do another neighborhood council far away from here. But it's important that you achieve some level of work and that feeling that you didn't just come in here for the sandwich. You actually were able to progress some things forward. I don't want you to get discouraged about how, they don't know us out there in our own neighborhood, let alone downtown. I'm gonna throw you an example. When I first came to the city, 98, we were promoting 311. All right? 311. We had magnets, we had the hangers for your doors. We had all kinds of stuff. A few years go by, I'm in a meeting, I'm talking to people. Of course, you could always use 311. Huh? What's that? Yeah. And even last year, I was trying to bring it up at another meeting, asked to help out with. And there were a lot of people who had no clue what 311 was. And it's been around since 98. All right. So don't get too discouraged because people, I heard some over here, oh, they forgot. Yeah, it's true. So you gotta keep letting them know you're here. All right. So don't get discouraged. That's kind of the thing. And we mentioned this way at the beginning. A lot of times, and this was maddening to me because kids would ask me this when I was teaching government. Well, how come people don't come out and vote? How come they still get involved? Well, that's their right sometimes. And people will come out when there's an issue. When the fires were happening over in Altadena, people were coming out, right? Because you can see it. But when we're talking about the toxic waste zones here in this area, people think, oh, that's far away from you, but it is. Okay, so just don't get discouraged. All right. And I think that's all I would throw out.
Thank you.
All right.
Just because you mentioned 311,
Yeah.
the app is my
Yeah.
LA 311.
There you go.
And I guess with the new Apple update, you need to update it. So
Oh, okay.
With any new phone, you need to
311
update
has come
it.
up, especially in San Pedro.
Yeah.
So you just do 311.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's 4:04.
On a Saturday night.
And you know what, I think we did cover quite a bit, and I think we need to be able to kind of pat each other on the back or pat, and shake hands and embrace and
Take a picture.
thing or whatever. Yeah. And say, we accomplished a lot.
Yeah.
Just, again, as I always am, it's something that I can go out and brag about to the other neighborhood councils, which I because we are the greatest neighborhood council on the whole world. We are.
And you wonder why he doesn't get invited to the other kids' games.
So, thank you.
there's the newbie. I thought we were gonna get to do a little brainstorming for 2026.
Well.
And how we were gonna.
Christina, you have to have brains first. Not you, Christina.
I'm talking to everybody. Yeah, and so if I can.
Come on, one last thing.
If I can we help clean up? We got a lot of stuff, take some stuff, if it's.
Like I told Vic, any sandwiches that are left get donated to LAPD.
And let's play him and just say thank you and good night and thank you. We got a request for a little picture.
Everybody. Group picture, hang on. Everybody gets that, hang on.
Can we, for the record, the meeting is adjourned at 4:06 PM. We needed to put the time. Thank you.
I'll turn the recording off.
I'll turn off the recording.
That's cool.
So we'll do that against the communities wall?
Right here?